if you're looking for Jared versus Joe, there was a 3:30 today, so we'll have it all podcasted. It's all you can watch it. Trust me.
Twitter, YouTube, podcast.
It's all five-star service. We need to make it more accessible.
Stillman.
I feel like right now we're
Nashville's best sports talk.
We always be more accessible.
Wherever you find your podcast, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook.
Stillman and Company is delivered by
the
TriStar
SEC
Moving
right?
ESPN
Like, it just
102.5.
started.
The game streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube,
Vanderbilt.
and Facebook Live. Thanks to the offices of Amanda Gentry. We're live at Bridgestone Arena. Another big one for the Nashville Predators tonight. They take it on the Anaheim Ducks, and I hope they get to see the Anaheim Ducks, although I have not looked at the standings, like as far as the Pacific Division, to see who would go where. But I hope they see a lot of the Anaheim Ducks because, as I've said, I want the Predators in the Pacific Division bracket for the playoffs. That's just me. We got a lot of football to get to today. D. Mace, by the way, have you ever seen somebody flip-flop faster than D. Mace on Ryan Tannehill? My goodness gracious. He was yelling at us on his way out the door today. I mean, he just could not believe the fact that we, sit here and feel the certain way that we feel about Tannehill, which we will get to throughout today's show, as we do every single show. But I want to start on this. Movement in the NFL with all these cuts, and really with the Titans, because I'll worry about everybody else after I worry about the Titans. But I do think it is worth worrying about the Titans. Today they made two cuts, Kendall Lamb, which was not surprising, and Roger Saffold, which also was not surprising. So they cut those two guys, and they're going to cut Jackrabbit Jenkins. I just don't know when that's going to happen. Technically, the Titans are under the cap now, though, as we know on this show, the cap, non-existent. So they're technically under the cap as we speak right now. And I got to tell you, I listened to Peter Schrager, the insider for Fox Sports, who's on Good Morning Football. And I felt like listening to him that he doesn't watch the Titans because he was talking about veterans that are getting released. And he was saying, these are just the cap. It's just hard decisions. It's just this. It's just that. The Titans, Roger Saffold, he's a really good guard. And I'm sitting here thinking like, okay. And then he talked about Kendall Lamb getting cut. Mm-hmm. And he was like, he's a really good player. And I was like, what? Hold on. So here's what's going to happen with the Titans. By the way, would you quantify Jackrabbit Jenkins as a really good player?
Really good? No, I think that's dramatic.
Fine.
Good. Fine.
Would you say good?
Good would be pushing it. He's fine.
He's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why he's going to be gone. This is the reality of the salary cap of the Titans, which is if you're good, they'll keep you. If you're not good, they'll get rid of you. And if they've committed too much money to you in the past and you're not good and they can't get rid of that money right now, then eventually they'll get rid of you. That's how the salary cap works. And the Titans will be fine. And the cap will be fine. And they'll be able to go get free agents. And the teams that have all the cap space in the world, Indianapolis, they've got $60+ million now with their cap because of their Carson Wentz trade. They will turn around and they will spend that money on a quarterback that will come in there and not get them to the playoffs. And Dallas, they're $10 million in the hole. And guess what? Feel comfortable about the Dallas Cowboys finding their way back into the playoffs. I feel comfortable with them finding their way out of the salary cap jail. Same with the Packers. Same with the Saints. Same with all these teams that are in the cap. So this is what I want everybody to know. And I find this to be very important. And I think people struggle with this, which is these aren't tough decisions. Joe Rexrode brought this to my attention in 2020, and I think it was a very fair point. Now, I'm not saying everybody who ended up firing people or laying them off or whatnot. I'm not saying that was because they didn't have money or financial problems due to the pandemic. I'm sure there was absolutely plenty of that, no doubt in my mind. But there also was probably a lot of not that. And so what you do is you use the pandemic as an excuse to somebody that, quite frankly, you either don't want around anymore or you certainly don't want around anymore at that price. And you go to them and say, hey, guys, I'm really sorry about this, but we've had to make layoffs because, unfortunately, there's just too many people out here that we just can't save, and we're trying to save jobs and cut costs because of the pandemic, and I'm so sorry. And I know you've worked here for 23 years, Lisa, but I'm sorry, it's just not working out. But in reality, you were like, we're not bringing in the money. Our profit margin's probably not good enough. We don't really need Lisa anyways, do we? No, not really. Okay, yeah. It's a really hard decision. I'm sorry. So Roger Saffold was set to make $13 million, I believe, against the Titans salary cap. I think it was 12. Lon's, I think, 13. Saffold, $12 million against salary cap. And, again, anybody can say whatever they want about the cap. You know how I feel about the cap. But he was set to make a solid $12 million against the cap. Titans are going to save $10 million by cutting him, right? Okay. The reality is they just don't want to pay Roger Saffold $12 million. They look at it like, he's an okay player. Like, he's a decent run-blocking guard, but he's certainly not a great pass protector, as has been well documented in his 3 years as a member of the Titans. And he gets hurt every game. And he doesn't play every game. And when he doesn't play, they stick the Brewer kid in there who's undrafted and not making any money, and he seems to play just fine. And there are guards in this draft, and there are going to be guards in free agency, just like he's a guard who's in free agency. And so the Titans will go cheap at guard, a position that you can go cheap in, and they'll be fine. And I just need people to understand what's really happening. These are not tough decisions. And the Titans are going to be just fine. But I feel like today there was like, oh my God, I got a buddy of mine who's actually smart. And he was like, why'd they cut Saffold? And I was like, well, because he's old and he's hurt all the time. And he makes too much money. And I saw it today, and I retweeted this guy, Jason. I don't even know his last name because he works for that overthecap.com. And so his Twitter handle is JasonOTC, and he doesn't have like his last name in there, so I don't even know his last name. I'd shout him out.
Jason OTC.
Shout out Jason OTC. So this Jason OTC tweeted out that oftentimes players are presented with two choices. And I know this to be true because this is what the old man used to tell us. That players are presented with two choices, which is that you need to take a pay cut and stay on the team, or we're going to cut you. It's one or the other. And oftentimes the player, because pride gets involved in this, oftentimes the player is like, I'll go to the market and I'll go test this out in free agency.
I'll bet on myself.
Landon Collins signed for $1 bajillion like 5 years ago with Washington. And today they cut him because his cap number's too high. They asked him to take a pay cut. He agreed to take a pay cut. They traded for Carson Wentz. They asked for a bigger pay cut. And he was like, nah, I'm going to the market. Which, in all fairness, I'm kind of on his side with that. Like, you already asked him to take one pay cut, and he said yes. You asked him to take another pay cut. That's a little too much for me. But that deal's probably not going to be out there on the market for him. And these guys got to understand something, that what's going to happen across the league over the next week, because we are 6 days away from the start of the new league year, and the tampering period starts Monday. So you're going to see teams, something I think you're going to see, is you're going to see deals worked out during the tampering period on Monday, and guys get released on Tuesday. And then when the deal becomes official on Wednesday, they're cap compliant. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Let's say the Titans don't cut Jackrabbit Jenkins this week. And then they work out a deal for a new corner who's either as good or better, making $3 million. Then they cut Jackrabbit Jenkins. Like, that's what I think is going to happen. So I'll give you an example, though, of how this all works. And I'll use Eddie George. Eddie George signed for a massive contract extension, I believe, the year after the Titans went to the Super Bowl. Eddie was an All-Pro. Eddie had been, to the Pro Bowl, I think, almost every year. They had just gone to the Super Bowl. Eddie was the star player. He was awesome. Well, Eddie slowed down, and Eddie got paid, but Eddie slowed down. And so then in the last year, Floyd went to him and said, hey, you're not the same Eddie anymore. We still love you. We love your leadership. We love your value to the club. We love what you represent to all of us. We're happy with you. Do your thing, Eddie. Whatever, but we need you to take a pay cut. And Eddie George, who is a good man and loved Floyd a lot, and Floyd loved Eddie, and there's no bad blood between the two of them. But Eddie didn't want to do that. So Eddie was like, no. And they released Eddie George. And if you go back, you can Google Titans release Eddie George, and the ESPN article will come up. And when you click it, it has a quote from Eddie's agent that was like, how dare they treat Eddie this way? Floyd's quotes were like, I could draft great running backs for the whole rest of my career, and I may never draft another Eddie George. But the reality is Eddie signed in Dallas for exactly what the Titans were offering him here. But here, basically, the promise was made that you're going to be the same old Eddie here. You're going to start every game. You're going to average 2.9 yards a crack, which is not very good, but you're going to keep being Eddie George. He went to Dallas, where they expected him to be the old Eddie George, and they benched him and then later cut him at the end of the year, and his career was over. And this is my long-winded way of telling you all that sometimes you got to make the best decision for yourself, even if your pride, if you're a player, tells you that that's disrespectful compared to what I was making before. And this probably goes across a lot of different industries, or even when you change careers, where you almost have to swallow it up a little bit and either make less money or have a less popular position or something like that. But sometimes you got to do it. And right now, I look at Saffold, and I see that $12 million, and I'm like, hell no. I mean, this guy is hurt every freaking game. So you think you're going to, Jared, we got to have a left guard. Well, how good's a left guard to you if he's not available half the time? I mean, come on. He didn't even pass protect well. So that's not a hard decision for me. Kendall Lamb freaking stunk. They brought him in here to compete for the right tackle position with Dylan Radins, and they realized a week into camp that neither guy could be the starting right tackle. By the way, take that one, Joe, because after the first week of practice, I was like, yeah, he's not going to be the right tackle. And Joe was like, it's 1 week of practice. They're not wearing pads. He never competed for that right tackle spot. He's going to make $3 million this year. What? So this is what this time of the year is. It's going to happen around the league, and there's going to be some guys cut that you like, and it's called trimming the fat. Amari Cooper, for example, going to get released in Dallas, right? Do you know why it came out last week that the Cowboys plan to release Amari Cooper?
Why?
Because if you really want Amari Cooper, if you really love Amari Cooper, and you don't want to have to compete with every other team for Amari Cooper, what can you do?
Go get another Amari Cooper?
No, there's not another Amari Cooper. There's only one. So I'm a team. I want Amari Cooper, and I don't want to have to compete with every other team to get him. You trade for him. So Dallas is trying to send out the feelers to everybody that, hey, we're going to release Amari, so if you want to get in before everybody else can, give us a call. And that's what's happening. So this is the trimming the fat. And Roger Saffold had to go. Too much money. Kendall Lamb had to go. Not very good. Jack Rabbit Jenkins has to go. And there will be more guys that will have to go. I think Zach Cunningham, for instance, is in a situation where he's probably going to have to go. I can't really see, unless he takes a straight-up pay cut, I can't see how Zach Cunningham stays. I don't see the need for Zach Cunningham to stay on this team. So we will be monitoring this. And not only that, like, Zach Cunningham's fine, but he's a middle linebacker. You already got a good middle linebacker in David Long Jr. You can figure it out without Zach Cunningham, and that can give you $10 million to spend on somebody else. So that is a recap of what's going on with the Titans today. Harold Landry is signed, low cap number because it's a new deal. We'll probably see some restructures, create more space. You got to be careful with a couple restructures. Corey Curtis today tweeted out the idea of restructuring Derrick Henry. I'm like, if you want $21 million at running back next year, go ahead and do that. But if not, probably stick to the plan right now. But that's where we are. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. We are live at Bridgestone Arena. That's our phone number, your reaction to all of this. Caroline is with us. We want all reaction about kind of where the Titans are going from here. Are they going to be able to spend big in free agency? We'll discuss. Plus, there's just so much on the table from this NFL right now with all the drama that's going on. I feel bad for basketball because the NFL is basically like, we're just taking over March. Like, we're just going to take it over. 615-737-1025. Caroline, tell us about Caesars Sportsbook.
It is time for the Caesars Sportsbook Report. Now, remember, if you are a new user to Caesars, then they are going to throw you a feast. What I mean by that is that they're going to give you a $250 Uber Eats gift card. All you got to do is download the app with code RADIOEAT. One word, RADIOEAT. And when you wager $50 or more total, you'll get a $250 Uber Eats gift card. Now, if you need something to bet on, if you need something to put that $50 on, there's a Predators game tonight, the Anaheim Ducks coming into Bridgestone Arena. Give me the Preds -1.5 plus 130. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, so we'll also take the under 5.5. But I think the Preds get a big win at home today. Anaheim with a long road trip, so I think the Preds are going to be able to get it done tonight. Must be 21. Offer valid in Tennessee only. New customers with eligible promo code only. Real money wagers only that have minimum odds of -200. $250 gift card redemption code and steps to redeem gift card will be sent via email within 72 hours. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. Void where prohibited. Gambling problem? Call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. Caesars Sportsbook. Download it, people.
At Cromwell Media, we stand united, both here in our country and abroad. The people of Ukraine are suffering, and we support them in this very difficult time. So stand with us for Ukraine and for all of those in need of support around the globe. We are ESPN 102.5 The Game, ESPN 94.9, and Cromwell Media.
It's Family Leisure's Factory Direct Sale. Family Leisure has truckloads of new model merchandise. Spas as low as $29.99.
Okay.
Family Leisure is getting all the new patio furniture styles, the guaranteed largest selection, and lowest prices in the Mid-South.
That's interesting.
Factory Direct pricing on pools. 24-foot pools starting as low as $29.99 installed. 6 months, same as cash.
Grill, smokers, and grill islands are on sale too.
Even the massage chairs, theater seating, and leather sectionals. That's Family Leisure's Factory Direct Sale. Going on now.
Both locations, Antioch and Franklin.
At the Law Office of Amanda J. Gentry, we have a team committed to helping you navigate the court system. Whether you've been accused of a crime, charged with a crime, or served with a divorce or a post-divorce case, we are here to defend your rights, protect your rights, and enforce your constitutional rights. Give us a call, 615-604-6263.
Call the Law Office of Amanda J. Gentry at 615-604-6263 or visit amandajgentry.com for more information.
Hey, it's Chase McKay. Bet on more than the final score with One Game Parlay at BetMGM. It is my favorite thing to do on the app. One Game Parlay is an exciting feature designed to help you make selections within a single game from over 400 bet types, including team and player props. Just log into your BetMGM account and create your best parlay before the game starts. If you're new to BetMGM, sign up today and make your first bet risk-free up to $1,000 with the bonus code 1025GAME. Plus, you'll earn BetMGM rewards points that can be redeemed for online bonuses or converted into comps for rooms, restaurants, and more at over 20 MGM resorts nationwide. Try One Game Parlay today. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Tennessee only.
Sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Interact with Stillman and Company. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
So we got a little breaking news to get to here on the program. This coming from every national baseball reporter that Major League Baseball and the Players Association have agreed to a deal.
Baseball's back, baby.
They have agreed to a deal. My guess is they're going to be able to play 162. I'm going to guess. Because yesterday they were like, last week they were like, if we don't agree today, then we can't play 162. And then yesterday.
But they keep pushing it back.
Well, then yesterday they were like, if we agree to a deal, then we can play 162. But if not, we can play like 140. And all this, just all this mind-numbing bull crap. And I have to congratulate Major League Baseball and the Players Association. Can we, first of all, let's give them a round of applause. I mean,
but how much do they deserve it?
No, that's not what the applause is for.
Thank you, Ann.
That's not what the applause is for. Do you know what the applause is for Major League Baseball? Getting a deal done?
For getting over themselves?
They're going to get 162 games in. Not one fan is going to miss anything other than spring training that deep down inside, I'm not sure a lot of people, including me who's a diehard fan, even care about. So it's not like we're going to really miss anything. They're going to get all their games in. They're going to have a summer of fun. And they spent an entire month pissing people off leading up to this.
Good job,
Congratulations, Major League Baseball. The most tone-deaf sport in the world. And I want to give you all an example, by the way, which I just included in the email to Ian because I cut it up to show you to prove a point earlier this morning.
Right.
That I wasn't even going to play on the air. But this was last night when I was on Sirius XM radio, and they pick out the guests for me ahead of time. They're like, hey, we got these guests lined up. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm talking to this former Major League player who's on MLB Network Radio. And we're talking about the lockout or whatever. And so he's named Ryan Spielborgs. I remember when he played when I was a kid. Like when I was in high school, he was on the Rockies. And so he comes on the show. And he starts telling me, these baseball people, the owners, the players, the people who cover it, they're all so crazy. They don't realize that, like, most of America doesn't give a rat's ass anymore about their sport. Like, they just don't get it. They're like, look at all the money baseball's making. This streaming deal with Apple is unbelievable. It's like they got $100 million for, like, a Friday night game every week. If the NFL was to give them one game a week on Apple, it would be like $2 billion. So you got $100 million And for essentially the exact same package that Amazon bought for Thursday Night Football, it's literally $1 billion a year is what Amazon has to pay the NFL. So, like, congratulations on your $100 million, Major League Baseball. But anywho, I'm sitting there talking to this guy, and I realize as I'm talking to this guy, he doesn't realize that nobody cares anymore. Like, all the public squabbling about the players feel like this and the owners feel like this and I don't care. I don't care, and we're going to play games, and, okay, if we miss a week, like, whatever, like, who cares? And most of these cities, unless you got a team and you're a diehard fan, you don't care anyways, you got something else to do. And this guy starts talking to me about the international baseball draft. Ian, please play the clip. This is last night, Sirius XM.
The international draft is really a sticking point. It's a massive sticking point.
Can I just tell you that I don't care about that, and I think most fans don't either?
But let me explain one part to you. For 20 years, this has been a level where if you're going to do it, you have to do it right. And it just felt like for owners to do this thing without having like feasibility studies and all this stuff, and this could derail. It's not going to derail the negotiation, but it's a big deal. It's a big deal for a lot of the members of our baseball community because what's going on in Latin American baseball is there's such a seedy underbelly that it
needs there for me, Ian Caney. Do you care about what's going on in Latin America right now with baseball?
No.
Ian, do you care what's going on in Latin America for baseball right now?
I mean, not particularly.
Ladarius, do you care about what's going on? He shakes his head no. Okay, please continue.
Seedy underbelly that it needs to be cleaned up, but not with one just, hey, we should do this. Like, tell me, have you liked what happened to minor league baseball system in the last couple of years?
Here, please. Do you like what happened to minor league baseball?
I don't care.
Ian, do you like what happened to minor league baseball?
What happened to minor league baseball?
Ladarius, do you like what happened to minor league baseball? He doesn't care. Please continue.
Minor league baseball system in the last couple of years? Did you think that was a good idea?
I did not care. I did not care.
So you didn't care that 42 teams were erased from minor league baseball?
Correct.
Okay. Well, it mattered to 42 communities. It mattered to a lot of minor leaguers who saw their careers get derailed. So it's along those lines for people in the baseball community. But I get it. Big picture, national perspective.
I'm sorry about the 42 minor league teams. Can anybody name anybody on this show right now? And by the way, I can't see this call screener, so I don't really know anything. Can you turn that over for me for a second?
Sure, it's off, but yes.
Can anybody tell me whatsoever, name one of the minor league baseball teams that got cut? Apparently 42 of them got cut. Can anybody name one of the cities where these minor league baseball teams got cut?
Honestly, no.
Ladarius.
Nothing comes to mind.
Okay.
And
so
I am a pretty diehard baseball fan.
The arrogance. I went to the World Series last year. Like the pure arrogance of these people, these owners, these players. Like, imagine this. You literally smacked your sport, your dying, unpopular sport. You smacked it around for a month for everybody to hate you more. And you're not going to miss a single game probably because of it. Like, holy smokes. These people's heads are so far up their rear ends. I am convinced that if they had the option, if Major League Baseball owners, if we were sitting there, it's like, all right, here's the deal. I can give you $18 out of my pocket right now.
Uh-huh.
Or to be divided by the 30 clubs. Or we can ensure that baseball will be prosperous and more popular than it is now and will continue to be a great sport for forever. $18 amongst the 30 of you, or lifelong bliss for your sport. What would you pick?
I would probably choose the lifelong
and
bliss.
And they would pick the $18.
Yes, they would.
And
at least that's what they've shown us.
I mean, goodness gracious, what a PR debacle. You know what I was thinking about? You don't think the NFL and the PA argue and squabble with each other about these kind of things?
100%, but we don't know.
Yeah, they just do it.
They just get it over with.
And then they
it is
sign a
so
new CBA,
incredibly tone deaf on the MLB's part to just be a bunch of billionaires and millionaires fighting about money.
Don't forget about the players. Players, too.
Yeah, they're the
and
millionaires.
the people who cover the sport.
Yes, they're the people who are fighting about the money. Meanwhile, there are fans of the sport who are just getting so fed up with the sport that they don't even want to hear about the billionaires and millionaires fighting about how much money they get. It's such a bad look for the sport.
Plus, don't you think people are kind of over it by now anyway? So they agree to a deal today. Like, again, breaking news, if you're just joining us, Major League Baseball has agreed to a deal. And trust me, folks, we will get back to the NFL soon enough. But, like, do you really think, and I mean this, like, wholeheartedly, do you really think that these people, like, that it hasn't gone on long enough? With, like, if when that deadline happened 2 weeks ago, if they had struck a deal, like, right at the deadline, I think everybody would have been like, hooray! Now, diehard baseball fan right here, I shrug my shoulders. Okay.
I've just been sick of the updates that this is what they're talking about now. This is what they have to agree
That's what
about.
I'm talking about. I got old buddy talking to me about the international. Why do I care about that?
They met until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't care.
If the NFL went to an international draft, I'm not sure I'd care about it.
No, not
like,
really.
Okay, go get some players from Germany. Whatever. NFL Europe. Whatever. I don't care.
If they think it's going to improve the sport, then great. Then agree upon it.
It's like it's like the XFL, right? Mm-hmm. It's on television, so I'll watch it. USFL.
Yeah.
But do I really care? Like, they had the USFL draft, and it was like the USFL drafts tonight. Okay. Who cares? 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Ian, I don't have a call screen. Do I have to tell the people about something right now? Okay, I will tell you about Hiller in just a second. So if you got a thought on baseball, get it in. This is the one segment that we will take reaction on baseball and the fact that Major League Baseball has avoided what would have been a disaster, because this really would have been a disaster if they had, like, if Jackie Robinson Day. So I didn't know this until yesterday. So if they had any more quote-unquote cancellations, which ultimately didn't mean anything because they're probably going to play all 162. But had they canceled, like, another game, it would have been April 15th, which is the 75th anniversary of Jackie Robinson Day. Mm-hmm. And, like, I got to be real with you. Like, there's a couple things that, like, just don't do.
That's pretty sacred.
And skipping the 75th anniversary of Jackie Robinson Day because you guys can't get it figured out would have been a horrendous look for that sport. So that's good. But everything else, you want to react to it, you can now. 615-737-1025. I'm a diehard baseball fan, and I'm over it. So, hey, congratulations. You got a deal done. I'm glad you made yourselves look like complete jerks the entire time. And you turned off fans. You turned people away. Well, you spend all this time. Should we get rid of the shift? Should we keep the shift? Should we not get the shift? What should we do? You push people away. And I'm sure people like me will watch. I never claimed I wouldn't watch, but I just think that it was a huge mistake on their part, and I hope they're all happy. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. I love those guys. They're giving away free vacations for you and your family this month. With every purchase of a new whole home generator or select new HVAC systems, Hiller is giving you a free week-long vacation. With every purchase of a new tankless water heater, Hiller is giving you a free weekend vacation, and they're giving you a Visa rewards card to help pay for gas to get you there. Choose from over 400 Marriott, Wyndham, Hilton, or Hyatt hotel properties. Take advantage of this unbelievable deal while you can, because these deals are only available for a limited time, so make sure you schedule today. Visit happyhiller.com for all of the details. As always, happy you'll be, or the service is free. Again, those are proud supporters of the Nashville Predators, the Tennessee Volunteers, and the Vanderbilt Commodores. Hiller, my guys, call the Happy Face truck today.
Allen's going to be taken down. It's Harold Landry, the sack master for the Titans.
Harold Landry is returning to the Titans.
There are signs that make me feel good about it.
The linebacker has agreed to a multi-year extension.
I think the Titans have identified themselves as a team in a window to win.
What's next for John Robinson and the Titans?
Are you going to go out and go get wide receivers and tight ends and say, hi?
Keep it locked all off season for your best Titans talk
On ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey everybody, Robbie Stanley here to tell you about my friends at Jasper's as the neighborhood bar and restaurant to catch the next Preds game. Jasper's is located on West End Avenue and offers a fun atmosphere with a game room, TVs, and a large bar and lounge area. Plus they offer free parking. That's right, free parking on West End, and offer specials for every Preds game day, including $10 smash burgers and $3 bottle domestics. So come on down to Jasper's next game day for happy hour every weekday from 4 to 6 p.m. and 2-for-1 beers all day on Sundays. Just tell them that Robbie Stanley sent you.
Hey, it's Jared from my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's conference championship week in college basketball, and FanDuel has the best offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can place their first college basketball bet risk-free, and if you don't win, you'll get up to $1,000 back. It's the college basketball tournaments the way you'd like to bet them. So you can take a chance at a same-game parlay or jump into the action big with live betting or bet with big promotion like Odds Boost. You've been thinking about FanDuel? Now is the perfect time to give it a shot. See for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook and my official sportsbook app. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and use the promo code JGM at sign up to get your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. That's JGM. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site card that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
Get that luxury watch you've always dreamed of this weekend at Genesis Diamonds. Genesis is hosting a spectacular 3-day event featuring a huge selection of pre-owned Rolex watches. Yes! These are the timepieces you can't find anywhere, but Genesis has them. Daytonas, Submariners, Pepsis, Datejust, Sky Dwellers, and more. Come pick out your luxury pre-owned Rolex and get up to $3,000 in Genesis gift cards, plus 60-month special financing. Our buyers are on site for this event, so if you already own a Rolex and want to sell it, you'll get top dollar. Or trade yours for a different model. All Genesis luxury pre-owned Rolexes are hand-selected and rigorously inspected in pristine condition, and our selection has never been better. Don't miss this special pre-owned Rolex buy-sell trade event at Genesis Diamonds this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes. Both locations, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone, America's #1 brakes destination. Right now, save 15% when you get any 2 Duralast rotors with a set of Duralast brake pads. It's also AutoZone's national hiring event. We're hiring all positions, from sales to warehouse and drivers, both part-time and full-time. Visit careers.autozone.com or any one of our stores.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2021.
Friday night, the Big Ten tournament is underway from New York City. We'll have quarterfinal action starting at 5:15
on ESPN
94.9 and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is John Hines, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game.
All right, if you're just joining us, breaking news, the Major League Baseball's Players Association has agreed to a deal with the Major League Baseball players. No Supreme Court justices need to get involved. Shout out, though, to Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor, who solved the first baseball or the last baseball strike.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to her.
Shout out.
But nobody's gonna have to get involved. They're gonna now. Here's what's crazy though, is and I don't know how much people in Nashville care about this, and I really have become like the nobody cares police, which I really have got to get over.
Yeah,
like,
you are the nobody cares police.
There really is. I don't know what it is about me, but I have turned into like this just...
You're grumpy.
I really have.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really, really disappointing, which I wanted to talk about at some point today anyways, but that's neither here nor there. But apparently there's going to be like a 24-hour period where every free agent gets signed like just immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot of skin in this game because I want the Braves to keep Freddie Freeman. But...
You have skin in this game?
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm emotionally invested.
More than emotional skin?
No.
Okay.
But I am emotionally invested. At one point, I almost bought stock in the Braves, which you can do. But then I was like, yeah, it's like those Green Bay Packer losers that are like, I'm an owner. And I just think that's weird. So, but I mean, I guess Freddie Freeman and I are technically coworkers because SiriusXM is owned by Liberty Media.
So you, Freddie Freeman, and Tom Brady
are all coworkers.
Nice.
Yes. And
see you at the holiday party.
That's how major conglomerates work, apparently, in America. But that will be interesting when that will happen. When will it happen? When will we have those free agents coming left and right? And obviously it won't matter here. And I would just advise them, do it before Monday. Like I would say, do it before Monday with the free agency stuff because the NFL starts their free agency. And I hate, again, I'm trying not to be the police of telling people what to care about, but I'm going to tell you a lot more people in America care about the NFL free agency than they do MLB free agency. What do we have on our phone line? 615-737-1025. I said one segment of reaction on this, and then we're back to football. What do we have?
One texter texts in and says, I'm a huge baseball fan. Today I learned 42 minor league teams were apparently cut.
Yeah, so this happened last year, and I remember it was like a big deal because like it was going to the court system pre-COVID, and then COVID happened and people stopped paying attention to it. And all I know is that beforehand, the Sounds used to sign with a major league team. Like that the Sounds had their own bosses, and they would sign with a major league team, and they would agree to it. But what it is now is Major League Baseball tells the Sounds, hey, this is your AAA team. Like it or beat it. And a lot of minor league baseball people aren't happy about that, and they cut some minor league teams. But again, I mean, look, did anybody care when the Nashville Cats got dissolved by Bud Adams and the Arena Football League didn't matter anymore? Because that's how I feel about this. What's next?
Well, we have a bunch of texters that have texted in to let you know that Jackson, Tennessee, the Jackson Generals, lost their team.
See, I am actually such a baseball fan that I remember when they were the West Tennessee Diamond Jacks. And they were the AA affiliate of the Cubs, I believe. And I think at one point they were the AA affiliate of the Seattle Mariners, which if you're getting called up to Seattle, nothing like a 43-hour plane ride from
West
Jackson,
Tennessee to Seattle.
But there you go. What else we got?
Another texter texts in and says something very important. Says reports are MLB free agency starts tonight.
Oh, yes. Goody. Well, I'm on Mad Dog Sports Radio tonight. So
perfect.
And they care about baseball there.
Yes, they do. Well, apparently they do. Since who were you on with last night?
Ryan Spielborgs.
Ryan Spielborgs felt to be so elitist and say, I cannot believe that you wouldn't
Hey, we're not going to badmouth Ryan Spielborgs. He was kind enough to come on my show, and I grew up watching him. So
I'm not a Sirius XM contributor. Maybe one day. But my point to that is I feel like there is such a division between baseball people
it's sanctimonious.
And everyone else. And I am a big baseball fan.
And
I'm from one of the biggest baseball cities in America.
I'm going to tell you who the worst example of this is.
Okay.
Guess.
The worst example of being elitist?
The sanctimony of baseball elite.
Rob Manfred?
No, but you're kind of close. Ian, you got a guess?
No, not really.
Bob Costas. There is nobody.
Don't you badmouth Bob Costas.
Sanctimonious about baseball. He quit football. He was doing the pregame for Sunday Night Football, and he didn't want to do it anymore because football kills people because of their brains. I'm like, Bob, welcome to sports. But now
Bob's a baseball guy.
Bob gets into
baseball and the Olympics.
Hey, he's done with them.
Well, he did the Olympics.
He used to be bad. He was like the voice of Jordan. And Bob Costas, and it hit me during that 30 for 30 after the last dance about Sosa McGuire, where Bob Costas, that's it. Bob Costas was like, on his freaking high horse about, how dare they do whatever they did. Like that kind of thing.
Like the juicing?
Yeah, it was just so. Bob Costas is such a baseball snob. He doesn't care about the other sports anymore. He's all baseball.
A lot of baseball people are baseball snobs, and I think that's the big division between baseball fans and these baseball people is how dare you not care about the 42 minor league teams? You know what? If your world is baseball and if you live under this dome of baseballisms, then yeah, that's a huge deal. That's probably earth-shattering. But I don't think that the baseball people understand that baseball fans have other things to care about than baseball. Because I'm sure they think that baseball fans are just sitting by the TVs, biting their fingernails, waiting for baseball to be back, when in reality, we're both diehard baseball fans.
I got an example of this
and
one.
We weren't.
I saw this week from our friend in Canada, Pierre
LeBron.
Pierre LeBron. I don't even know who he's with anymore, but Pierre tweeted out about how he wants to move the hockey season back further into September because he doesn't want to have the cup final in June. I'm like, Pierre, you want to put the NHL season where, I hate to break it to Canada, but most of the teams play in America. Mm-hmm. You want to push the NHL season further into the NFL season?
Yeah, not smart.
I mean, come on. There was a point in time where the NFL...
But that's Canada.
There was a point in time where the NFL used to wave the white flag for baseball. See, the World Series used to be on Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. And so what they would do is they would not play a Sunday night football game. Now, this is when Sunday night football was like Monday night football and Monday night football was like Sunday night football. But they would not play a Sunday night football game that night because it was game 2 of the World Series. And people were going to watch the World Series. And then after like a couple of years of Sunday Night Football on NBC, they're like, nah, screw it, play football. And then baseball moved to the World Series. So now I don't think there's a World Series game on Thursday night because Fox had Thursday Night Football and Fox wanted to be able to have football. So it was like this weird thing, with how they did it or whatever. But but football used to like acknowledge baseball's presence. Now football's like, hey, baseball, if you guys decide that you want to be more boring in July, we'll take that over too. So just you keep doing your thing, baseball. Move more hockey into September.
Yeah, like get out of your bubble.
Pierre.
Get out of your bubble.
What else we got?
Another texter texts into the text line and says, I am a diehard baseball fan and I care about the 42 minor league teams getting cut.
Do they?
I don't know.
Do they?
Do
so I would
you
text
care?
that person back and say, do you? ? See, I can't. I used to text people back when we had this old texting software. I used to text people back with the -JS. So you knew that it was coming from me.
You can do it with this one.
I don't know how to use it, and I'm not going to learn.
It's a website. It is the same thing as the
I'm too
last
busy.
one. You are old and crotchety.
I got a lot of things going on here in my life. Today I had to switch out my license plate from the white Tennessee license plate to the blue
one?
Tennessee license plate. You talk about a freaking
I still haven't done
disaster.
that. I haven't changed my plates.
I mean, the little thing that goes around the license plate. Oh God, it was just such a.
And I'm so sorry that your life is really hard
such
today.
a disaster. What else you got? I do want to get to as many of these as possible because we're gonna do one segment on it, and it seems like we have a lot of these people that want to get in.
Jeremy texts in and says, the bright side of no baseball at the moment, your guy not having to listen to Joe Buck.
Joe Buck doesn't call games in March. Joe
Joe Buck covers games in October.
Joe Buck will call the All-Star game. And even then, when he calls the All-Star game, like the first couple innings, it's like, John Smoltz, good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. How are you doing? And then by about the fourth inning, it's like, all right, now they're putting in the players from the Kansas City Royals, and Joe Davis and Kevin Burkhardt will take you the rest of the way, guys. Because he wants out.
Yeah, he's done.
Joe Buck, I was talking to...
In July, when the All-Star game is going on, his focus is football.
I was talking to Andrew Marchand at the New York Post. And he's the one that's been reporting about, Aikman and all this stuff. And so he told me that Andrew Marchand did, that he believes that Buck honestly doesn't even care about the World Series anymore. That so by going to ESPN,
I don't know.
Buck won't be able to call the World Series, right?
Right.
Because ESPN doesn't have it.
They don't have it.
And I was like, why would you do that? Like, if I'm Joe Buck, this is just me. I'm Joe Buck, and I know him and Troy are buddy, and I get all that. But if I'm Joe Buck, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be the king of Fox. Like, if Aikman's out, then anybody they bring in, it wasn't like when Madden and Summerall left, they kind of forced Summerall out, and Madden went to Monday Night Football, and they put him, Collinsworth, and Aikman together, and it was like they all went there together. But now it's like, if he's doing baseball, and he's on his third crew there because they had McCarver and then Harold Reynolds and Tom Verducci and now Smoltz, and he's doing football and he's on his third crew there with somebody else. Now it's like, dun, 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 dun. This is a presentation of Fox Sports. Here's Joe Buck, the voice of Fox Sports. And then it's his channel. And it's like, why would you go away from that? You got 2 of the next 3 Super Bowls. And Marchand was like, yeah, he doesn't really care about the World Series anymore. He's done enough Super Bowls. I'm like,
done enough Super Bowls.
What?
What does that even mean?
Plus, if Joe Buck works at ESPN, they're going to want to make him do. They're going to want to make him do other things.
They're going to want to make him do basketball.
They're going to make him want to go on SportsCenter.
Yeah, he don't want to do that.
He didn't have to do any of that. Like, dude, he
has such a cush setup right now.
So I read his book, and I was talking about this golf course that he built his house on. And I asked Caroline about it, and Caroline was like, "Oh, that golf
fancy
course.
pants.
I mean, I'll tell you,
it is fancy pants."
And why would you want to go and have to spend half your life in Bristol and go through the car wash?
I've done it, and it's not fun.
Yeah, well, how you would do it and how Buck would do it might be a little different.
Okay, but it's still Bristol, Connecticut.
I do hear you.
If you're in a blizzard in a mansion or a blizzard in an apartment, it's still a blizzard.
All right, here's a question. I'm gonna let you guys pick. Do we do another segment on these baseball texts? Do we talk about whether or not it matters in Nashville? Do we talk about how we need to figure out this CBA, if there's something about getting a team in Nashville? Or do we go to me complaining about a move the Titans made? Group choice. I will moderate a tie if there is a tie. Ian, what's your choice?
I lean slightly Titans.
Okay, Caroline?
I lean baseball.
Titans. I am mad. There is something that literally the Titans did that just truly ticked me off. We'll get to that next. Hey, join 1025 The Game this Sunday night for the Preds Bud Light Watch Party at Headquarters Beercade. Drink specials, enter to win Preds tickets, and watch the Predators take on the Minnesota Wild. It's the Preds Bud Light Watch Party at Headquarters Beercade, located at 114 2nd Avenue South, downtown. Puck drop, 6 o'clock this Sunday.
Hey, this is Roman Yossi, and this is Smashville.
Going to the front of the net, he scores. What a gorgeous move. Roman Yossi.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 1025 The Game.
Hey guys, it's the new year. Are you still struggling with erectile dysfunction? I've yet to meet anyone that enjoys timing those intimate moments around a pill. Well, now you don't have to. The advanced wave technology at Hillside Medical has been shown by Cambridge University and the Cleveland Clinic to restore and even regrow blood vessels. It can improve circulation and eliminate erectile dysfunction. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED, call us in the next 2 minutes and you'll receive a consultation, assessment, and blood flow ultrasound free. Plus, a special gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. You're going to love that. Trust me. This is a $600 value, free to callers now. 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Guys, get rid of your ED and get that spark back. Call Hillside Medical now to qualify. 615-576-5000.
Hey Nashville, it's Jared, and there's a new go-to for home furnishing. Social Furniture on the West Side is independently home-owned furniture store in Nashville. Forget the big box store. Shop local, shop social. They have all the best brand mattresses, sofas, recliners, love seats, sectionals, coffee tables, and more with no waiting. They will deliver it the same day. That's with everything at Social Furniture. Enjoy new furniture now with no waiting. Shop local, shop social. 5412 Charlotte Avenue near White Bridge Road, and tell them Jared Stillman sent you.
Finishing jobs on time, never being idle, and powerful equipment. Meade has the John Deere excavating equipment and the smart grade technology solutions for you and your business. Power your business with a new, used, or rented excavator and get the performance you expect and service you can rely on. Call us today for the equipment built as tough and reliable as you, or visit us at meadtractor.com. That's meadtractor.com.
Seriously, it's the same commercial every time.
All right.
Okay? There's 4 major points that we need to make.
Yes, sir.
Good customer service.
All right.
Good quality vehicles.
Check. Got it.
We've been in business since 1987.
87, right.
And we can finance anyone on any car.
Wow. A fiddle player? Any car? How's this? Franklin Motors. The choice is clear. Franklin Motors.
Your ride is here.
FranklinMotorsTN.com, or come on by for a test drive.
Inside knowledge on the Titans.
Todd Downey's got his notepad out right now, just writing things down.
Inside knowledge on the Predators.
They can go right into the forecheck, and boom, you get a beautiful goal from Colton Sissons.
And then there's a team in Knoxville.
How excited should Tennessee fans be by what they've seen from Josh Heupel in year one?
Wake up and hang out with Robbie and Rex Road. Weekday mornings from 6 to 10. Brought to you by Little Guys Movers on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and The Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
You're listening to Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
People, when you start saying that, they shouldn't have signed Woodside back or this and that, think about, he hasn't played, but he's doing something well enough that the Titans like him.
Sure.
They're liking how he's progressing in practice or when he has to take reps. They like him. The GM likes him. So, to me, unless I don't want to see him out on the field, I really don't. But I'm trusting that by them re-signing Woodside, that they believe if he does have to come in and, spill Tannehill, that he will do an okay job. If he has to play a long time, then best believe they're going to go get another veteran quarterback. They will.
So that was Derek Mason today on DDC talking about the Titans re-signing Logan Woodside. So it came out yesterday, the exclusive rights free agents, the guys that really aren't good enough to get to free agency yet, and you can kind of just keep them. And so they're keeping Nick Westbrook-Akina. They're keeping Tier Tart. They're keeping Logan Woodside. I have no thoughts on Westbrook Akina, no thoughts on Tart. I think they're good, solid, rotational players to have on the team. The end. Fine. Whatever. You ain't going to win the Super Bowl because you got that guy. You ain't going to lose the Super Bowl because you got that guy. Now, Woodside. I have no idea if Woodside's any good. I've seen him at practice, which means I've seen him a lot more than you, the audience, has seen Logan Woodside.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's fine. I don't think he has any talent. And I think he's probably too small. And if you were to ask Logan Woodside to go out there and win you games, you're going to lose, which Floyd told us all the time, you have to play the backup quarterback. You're going to lose. Now, I was sitting here at Bridgestone Arena 3 years ago. Gosh, it's weird because 2020, like especially March of 2020, like it doesn't count.
It feels like it's not a real year, yeah.
But 2 years ago, I was sitting here at Bridgestone Arena, and it was the Friday of the SEC basketball tournament, so it was tomorrow, 3 years ago. And right before we went on air, we had our grid figured out. We were ready to rock and roll. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere comes, the Titans have traded for Ryan Tannehill. And I was ecstatic because I thought the Titans were going to go with the status quo, which was Mariota and Blaine Gabbert. And the reason they went and got Tannehill from the Dolphins is not to go in there and take the job from Mariota, no matter what Diana Rossini incorrectly reported. But the reason they did, the reason they did that is because Mariota kept getting hurt. And it was like they didn't want to get caught with their pants down against the Colts in a game with the season on the line and have to play Blaine Gabbert again. Well, honestly, they need to get a better backup quarterback this season. If they're not going to draft a guy, which I'm not going to rule out, but they've got to get a better backup quarterback than Logan Woodside, or they have to be willing to play Logan Woodside. It's one or the other, but it can't be both. Like, they have to be willing to play Logan this year. Because I'm sorry, but a lot of times when a guy's facing that pressure year, it's a lot like a coach on the hot seat. And they go in there, and let's not kid ourselves. Tannehill is under all kinds of pressure.
Oh, yeah.
This season.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if he crumbled under pressure in that Cincinnati game, which is what really bothers me about all this, he's going to be under pressure week 1 of next year. And we've been over the schedule. It's probably not going to be easy. They're probably not going to give you the Texans week 1. And even then, he might throw 4 picks again and you might lose. But if Tannehill starts stinking it up this year after 3 or 4 games, you got to take him out. I mean, you can't have another Cincinnati. So if you're sitting in a similar situation, because if there was anybody else to go in and play quarterback this year, after the second interception of the Cincinnati game, they would have taken him out. And they would have put, Case Keenum in the game. Because, I mean, it's the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And I even said at the time, like, you can't take him out. But that was last year. This year, I think it's got to be on the table to take Ryan Tannehill out. Like, if you're sitting there and you're watching, like, the Denver game, where I thought Vrabel were the one where they ended up benching Mariota, and it was painful. And I was a Mariota supporter through and through. And I took the cheese on that. And I remember watching that game and being like, there's no words to defend this right now. And if they want to make the move, which a lot of callers had been calling for and things like that, if they want to make the move, go ahead and make it. Like, go ahead and do it. Like, and Floyd used to say that once you make that move with Mariota,
you don't go back.
You're not going back.
Mm-mm.
Like, once you make it, it is done. And that was what Vrabel was doing. And it was, I don't want to say it's funny, but if you go back to that Denver game, and you look at Vrabel, like his facial expressions on the sidelines, he looked like a guy who was standing there like, I'm going to try to do this on the stream, if you can see this here, as I kind of get in the way. I'm not sure I can do it. Well, here, I'll just turn this way.
Give her a go.
If you're watching the stream, this was Vrabel, right? He was like this, like in like this like coach's stance with his hands on his knees, and it looked like he was like taking a crap he couldn't get out. It was like, like every time was like,
like it physically pained him.
Yes, like every drive looked like he was sitting on the toilet.
Yeah.
Like it was.
And not in a good way.
No. And like the bad way. And like that's what it was. And like honestly, that's how I feel right now with Russell Wilson, going to the Broncos and Aaron Rodgers staying in Green Bay and knowing that Tannehill's going to be the quarterback next year is that, that look that Vrabel had. And I think you got to be prepared for the same thing to happen this year. Look, I would love, you people think that I care about that I had this opinion and it was wrong or something like that. I am a Titan fan. So I would freaking love for the Titans to have Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos come in here on Sunday Night Football, week 1 of next year, and the Titans to win 41-14 into every phone line to be jammed of like, screw you, Stillman. Like, I'm fine with that. I don't care. I'm rooting for it. But I'm betting against it. And more importantly, I think the Titans, as far as the Woodside thing is concerned, they have to be prepared for this not to go their way. They got lucky that they were prepared for it not to go their way with Mariota. Tannehill gave them the spark that they needed. We know this is a good football team. Like, we know if you can lose Derrick Henry and still be okay, you're a good football team. It is a solid team. It is well coached. They got decent players on it. But, I mean, this is just me, they got to be prepared for next year, like if something like that were to happen.
Well,
it's a very graphic segment.
But I do think as well, if the Mike Florio report was true, that the Titans were possibly in the mix
Like
for
lurking
Aaron
around,
Rodgers,
but yeah.
lurking around, then that at least gives us an inside glimpse of how they think about Ryan Tannehill. But also, if they're not willing to bring just like a little bit more depth or a little bit more. Andy Dalton, an experienced starter that you can get on the cheap in free agency behind Ryan Tannehill that you can say, all right, Andy, you go.
Neil O'Donnell.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, whatever it might be. Why aren't they doing that? If the Mike Florio report was true, that they were planning on moving on from Tannehill if they got an Aaron Rodgers deal, then they're just going to run it back? Like, you acknowledge that what you have isn't working, and then you say, okay, well, the Aaron Rodgers didn't work out, so we're just going to run it back what we have?
Either that or put Logan in the game.
I guess so.
Either that or if you see Cincinnati again and you get that constipated look on your face, Mike, put him in the game. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. TD is coming up next. The wheeling, the dealing that the Titans have been making this week, the quarterback moves around the NFL. What's TD got to say about it? The TD Power Hour, Stillman & Company. It's ESPN 1025 The Game.
The MTSU Blue Raiders live here.
Middle Tennessee. 3-ball, yes, sir.
And when you're in the borough, tune us in on 97.5.
In the end zone, caught, touchdown.
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hey, Robbie Stanley here, and the Players' Championship is back with one of the best fields in golf, and now you can take a shot at the Island Green with FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get 30-1 odds on Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, or Xander Schauffele to make the cut at the Players. That's right, if any of those players make the cut at TPC Sawgrass, which is a great course, by the way, one of my favorites, you win $150 on a $5 bet. I really like Justin Thomas to do well this week at TPC Sawgrass. I think he makes the cut for sure, but you take it any way you want to take it. There's no better time to get in on the action with FanDuel Sportsbook. So step up to the tee and take a swing at betting the Players' Championship. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app with promo code ROB to get 30-1 odds on JT, Colin Morikawa, or Xander Schauffele to make the cut at the Players. Once again, that promo code is ROB. FanDuel Sportsbook, official betting operator of the PGA Tour. Must be 21 or older, present in Tennessee. New users only. Must wager in designated offer market. Max bet of $5. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the next generation of drivers, where titanium ends and the carbon age begins. Introducing the new Stealth Carbonwood driver from TaylorMade, with 60 layers of carbon twist-face technology designed for better energy transfer and faster ball speeds. Come into Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get custom fit today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops is home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee, or shop us online at worldwidegolfshops.com.
Erectile dysfunction ruins sex, but it's more than that. It harms otherwise good relationships. It destroys marriages. It can cause depression and anxiety, and it can be extremely hard on a man's self-esteem. This is Kim for the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and if you're suffering with ED, if it's affecting you, I want you to know that if you're like most men, we can treat it and get you back to the man you used to be. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we're ED experts. Our protocols have success rates as high as 90%. We've successfully treated thousands of men in the Music City, and we have a variety of treatment options and treatment combinations that could have you performing like you haven't in years. You could even last up to an hour and experience great sex again that is satisfying for both you and your partner. In treating your health, expertise matters, so make an appointment today. Your initial appointment is only $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra. Results vary.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone, America's #1 brakes destination. Right now, save 15% when you get any 2 Duralast rotors with a set of Duralast brake pads. It's also AutoZone's national hiring event. We're hiring all positions, from sales to warehouse and drivers, both part-time and full-time. Visit careers.autozone.com or any one of our stores.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2021.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Good morning! Robbie and Rex Road mornings from 6 to 10.
It's not bad. Might have to work on that. It's not bad. It's a starting point.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. ESPN 1025 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Did I screw up my camera, Caroline?
Yeah, you did, but I will fix it for you.
Okay. Right when I was doing the impersonation of Mike Vrabel's
Toilet sitting?
Taking a dump, face, wall, watching Mariota play horribly against the Denver Broncos in 2019. I guess I moved the camera one way or another. TD was there.
I had $1 for
TD,
how many times I did that.
TD was there in Denver that afternoon. He joins us now for the TD Power Hour. TD, the NFL never disappoints. I mean, it really is like football season and then football season part 2. And boy, what a week we have had in the NFL, and a big week for the Titans as well. How are you, TD?
Hey, I'm doing really well. I wasn't sure what I walked in on, but man, I tell you what, I did a couple of spots, Freddie and Fitzsimmons, and Freddie Coleman. He had the phrase, the saying of the week to me, and he said there's 3 sports, 3 main sports in this country. He said the NFL season, college football, and the NFL offseason. We are in season 3, right? The third sport of the 3, and it's up and running. This league has done an excellent job of making sure that they are the primary source of news year-round.
Not only has the league done a great job of it, baseball has done a great job of helping themselves not be in the news, So that's TD. I want to start with this. Let's start with the Titan stuff, and then we'll get to the quarterbacks. I want to start with this, which is Saffold, not a surprise. Kendall Lamb, not a surprise. There's probably more coming down. Harold Landry signing. While it wasn't a surprise, it was kind of how it went down without the franchise tag. What did you make of the week so far that the Titans have had?
Well, I think they had a good week as far as getting Landry back in the mix. I knew that they were going to re-sign him. I think the good part of that was being able to do that without having that franchise tag. And you actually reported the initial number, right, of $5 million. Good job by you on getting that information.
Thank you.
And I think that really is the win. Now, the loss, I mean, you have some different things that didn't happen that I know you wanted to happen as far as the quarterback situation is concerned. And
that is true.
The AFC West getting better, which coincidentally is a division that the Titans will play. But I think overall in free agency, I think they won because they were able to clear up extra space. It's very likely with Saffold's release that Dylan Radence will slide into that left guard spot. Aaron Brewer obviously has an outside chance, but I really think he's their center of the future, at least competitor for that with what will happen with Ben Jones. And I'm not so sure that Ben Jones comes back. But, I mean, we could get into that a little bit later. But
sure.
Overall, I think they did I'm not going to say they won, but I think they did a solid job so far, just setting themselves up for what could happen in the future.
I was talking to somebody today about some of the moves the Titans were making, and I was surprised that the Jackrabbit move hasn't come down the pipe yet. And they told me that what's going to happen with a lot of these teams is they don't have to be cap compliant until Wednesday. But because the tampering period starts on Monday, we're going to see a lot of moves where they agree to a contract and then say, okay, we have to clear $8 million now, and then they'll go to a player to either restructure or they'll go to a player to cut them to then clear the $8 million so that on Wednesday they announce, hey, we signed this guy for this $8 million. And that makes me think that, like last year, I don't know if you remember this, but I remember being stunned that day that Adoree Jackson and Dennis Kelly got cut. And I think we might be seeing a little bit of that from the Titans, maybe over the next 4 or 5 days before the league year starts.
Yeah, I was stunned that Kelly got cut a little more than Adoree Jackson. Just in talking to people, he didn't have too many fans in that building. Yeah. I just put it to you that way. So it didn't surprise me or stun me that he was released. But I get what you're saying as far as knowing that you have these other deals in place. It's kind of like, spending money that somebody's going to loan you in the future. You know what I mean? That's really what it is. But that could definitely happen. But I think Jenkins is a guy that will be released. They're going to look also to, spin the wheels a little bit on that kick in the can down the road, Lawan, Derrick Henry, which would be interesting if they do that with Henry. But also, you have some other guys that you could possibly do that with.
See, I was thinking about this today, about Henry and Lawan, because while it would make sense, Derrick Henry's, I think, $15 million against the cap this year, and there's a lot of money. The Titans could cut Derrick Henry today and get out of it somewhat unscathed, which obviously they're not going to do. But if you were to go just with a full restructure, and I highly doubt they would do this, they have options to it, but you're looking at a $21 million cap hit next year for the running back, and a position where a lot of dead money would be added by taking that salary this year and turning it over. And I wonder if a running back coming off of an injury, getting up in age, like the Titans structured this contract to basically make it year to year after year 2 on Henry, would they want to put themselves in that position to where they're guaranteeing Henry or Lawan a spot on the team for next year, when I think both guys, there's probably a little bit of a question there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why I think a guy like Deontay Foreman remains on this team. But it would be – there's so much of a wild card, right? Because we don't know for sure, even though we know that Derrick Henry was born on Mars, we don't know for sure that he's going to come back and be the Derrick Henry that we know him to be, right? So I'm sure that's something that the Titans brass is considering. That's why I said the kicking the can down, like the restructuring him will be. I don't know that that's something I would do, because you don't want to get stuck with that huge number next year, and I think you have to consider that and kind of go in hindsight 2020. Maybe they shouldn't have restructured Tannehill, right? Because they probably wouldn't be stuck in this situation. Although the cap is just it's a guideline. It's not an end-all, be-all, because we know that it could be finessed rather easily, as you're seeing these teams do. But
it really has turned into the NBA cap.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Like, there's so many things that you could do to just tweak it, and now it's just a matter of teams having caught up.
It's funny you say that. When D. Mace was leaving today, he and I got into an argument about the cap. And he was talking about how real the cap is. And I said to Derek, I'm like, Derek, just because you got cut because of the cap doesn't mean it's the same cap today that it was back then. When Derek got cut from the Titans, and Derek and Samari Rolle and Kevin Carter and all these good players had to go back in the day, that was a much different cap than it is now, with voidable years and 5-year signing bonuses and all the things that they do now to screw around with it. And I was talking about this earlier with the Saffold thing. If Roger Saffold was making $4 million, he'd be on the Tennessee Titans. Or if Roger Saffold, could get through a 17-game season completely healthy on a year in, year out basis, he would probably be on the Tennessee Titans. I think what we're going to see a lot of is, I don't want to call it trimming the fat, but that really is what it is, where teams look at a guy that's like, he's good for about $6 million, but he's not good for $15 million, like Amari Cooper in Dallas. So let's cut him or get him to take a pay cut or something like that. And that's why I think that when we look at the Titans and we look at the free agents that are going to be out there next week, there's going to be a lot of guys that aren't even on the list right now that we could look at and say, that might be a good fit for the Titans, TD.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We still don't know how things are going to settle in for other teams. So, yeah, you're right. You look at these tight ends. I'm actually literally finishing up a post on those guys now. And, there's an assortment of guys on the market now, but that could get, boosted with, who knows? You never know what player will become available, and I think that's something you have to look at. There's so many teams. Think about this. The Titans were, 27th? And they were over almost $7 million over the cap.
Mm-hmm.
But they had the 27th best cap situation. So there's a bunch of other teams that are doing even worse, and it's going to require some moves, getting rid of some veterans.
Can you help me out with one question I have with the salary cap?
Sure.
The Chiefs. So they pay the quarterback $45 million.
Yeah.
They pay the tight end top of the market. They're going to extend the wide receiver, Tyreek Hill. They franchise tagged the left tackle. They paid the defensive tackle. They've paid the pass rusher. And I saw a report this week that they're going to try to bring Honey Badger back. I don't understand. The whole point of paying your quarterback $45 million is that you then have to let everybody else around that quarterback go. I don't get it.
Yeah, they've somehow managed. I'll say this. One area where they don't spend are the cornerbacks. And, a lot of teams typically, have high-priced cornerbacks and the linebacker position. So there's always something with, where in running back. But, outside of maybe 4 or 5 teams, nobody really spends a lot on running back. So I think that's kind of factored into it. But you're right. I mean, like when I saw they were bringing Chris Jones back, I'm like, how the heck? This doesn't – because I thought somebody was going to have to – you have a $100 million defensive end. How can you have a guy also get paid that, on the D-line, on the interior, but they've managed to make it work?
The Chiefs and the Rams, those are the two teams that when somebody's like, Jared, the cap, I just think it's going to be – I'm like, just look at the Chiefs and look at the Rams and look at how they've been able to figure out some of these deals. TD is with us. Of course, get your questions in for TD. It will be a lively TD Power Hour, 615-737-1025, and we'll hit them at the bottom of the hour, 615-737-1025. The wheeling and dealing around the league. What all we saw this week, and it wasn't just Denver and Green Bay. It was like 6 different teams. I want TD's thoughts on how all this shakes out, where teams go from here, because a lot of them are playing the Titans next year, and one of them, Indianapolis, obviously, is a very important team when it comes to the Titans. So we'll do that next right here. TD Power Hour. TD's with us. Stillman and Company. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Tune in every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. for Nashville's own Jason Fitz with Jared Stillman and Company. Fitz started his sports talk career right here on 102.5 The Game, and now he anchors shows for ESPN. Jason Fitz is brought to you by Blood Assurance. Give blood. Give local. Give life.
Presented for the people by Caesars Sportsbook. We are all Caesars. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 and up.
Victory Award-winning New Amsterdam Vodka knows all about it, but in life, it's not always so clear. So New Amsterdam Vodka believes that in life, you've got to find your own wins. You've got to overcome your fears, go all in, even when you've got nothing at all. Find your wins. And when you do, raise that glass of New Amsterdam Vodka in victory. You've earned it. New Amsterdam Spirits Company, Modesto, California.
Care has the power to bring kindness where it's needed. It brings out the best in every one of us. It doesn't just see people, it takes time to understand them. It puts the needs of others ahead of its own. And when you start with care, you end up with a very different kind of bank. Truist. Truist Bank, member FDIC.
Get that luxury watch you've always dreamed of this weekend at Genesis Diamonds. Genesis is hosting a spectacular 3-day event featuring a huge selection of pre-owned Rolex watches. Yes, these are the timepieces you can't find anywhere, but Genesis has them. Daytonas, Submariners, Pepsis, Datejust, Sky Dwellers, and more. Come pick out your luxury pre-owned Rolex and get up to $3,000 in Genesis gift cards, plus 60-month special financing. Our buyers are on site for this event, so if you already own a Rolex and want to sell it, you'll get top dollar. Or trade yours for a different model. All Genesis luxury pre-owned Rolexes are hand-selected and rigorously inspected in pristine condition, and our selection has never been better. Don't miss this special pre-owned Rolex buy, sell, trade event at Genesis Diamonds this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes. Both locations, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, Darren McFarland here. I want to tell you about this new social sports betting app I've been loving called Wager, W-A-G-R. Rather than betting against the house, Wager lets you bet with other people in Tennessee. It can be your friends, coworkers, or even me. As a special promo for ESPN 1025 The Game listeners, if you're over 21, go to wager.me/DMAC, and you'll get free wagers that you can use to challenge me. That's WAGR.me/DMAC. Join me and challenge your community, not the house. Please play responsibly. Call 1-800-889-9789 for help.
It's watching the top players take the ice. It's hard-fought games that end in victory. It's showing your favorite team to your favorite people. Secure your seats for the 2022-23 Nashville Predators season today to ensure you never miss a game at Bridgestone Arena. Plus, enjoy Nashville locker room discounts, exclusive presale offers, and more. Visit NashvillePredators.com/season tickets. Join the Loyal Legion today and paint the town Preds. That's NashvillePredators.com/season tickets. NashvillePredators.com/season tickets.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Stillman and Company on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
Jimmy G seems like a dream. Him only throwing the ball 6 times, Colts fans last year dreaming for that kid. Absolutely. But we're paying a guy. Now we're going to have to pay Jimmy G because he's won and he's a veteran. And obviously he's probably in the middle of a bidding war right now because of how everything's panned out with Russell and Aaron Rodgers. But the entire thought that all I want is just give me a boring quarterback. You give me the handsome Jimmy G or the if I die Kirk Cousins, knowing that they'll set us up in the right positions. We get a weapon. Both of those guys can complete passes. Deebo Samuel, before he became the utility player over there, was the slant god. Yeah. And then George Kittle is an absolute monster. Jimmy G can complete passes. Everybody acts like he cannot do that. He can, but either of those options are great. So I'm flying high this morning.
There you go, Pat McAfee. Earlier today on the Pat McAfee Show about the Colts QB situation. TD, I'm sorry, we got breaking news, though. Yeah. We'll get back into that. The Titans have released Darrington Evans, the running back. I was playing around with the cap calculator earlier today, and I think that's going to save him about $700,000, $800,000 on the cap. And you know what I think that really means? The Titans deciding that 2 years into this and what is setting up for maybe one of the worst draft classes in the history of the Titans with 2020. But what I think it highlights to me with Evans is I think what you were talking about in the last segment, I think they're going to give Evans money to Deontay Foreman. I think this is a sign that the Titans are going to bring him back.
Yeah, I felt that they were going to bring him back all along. Just, they really were pleased with how he was going to be able to, how he came in and just really separated himself from the other guys and Adrian Peterson and Dontrell Hilliard, And I think when you look at just the way everything works as far as the checks and balances are concerned, he is somebody that if need be, he could reliably carry that load, So if something were to not get back on track with Derrick Henry, they still have a guy that they could run the football effectively with.
Do you think the Titans are kicking themselves from the Evans front, not the injuries that slowed him down, but more so the fact that they took a running back in the 3rd round when they had Derrick Henry on the team?
No, I don't think they're kicking themselves for that because if you look at the time, they needed a guy. Remember, Deion Lewis was, he had moved on free agency-wise. They still needed to get another 3rd down guy. And he was very explosive, and that's one thing that you want to maintain. Like if you bring Derrick Henry off the field, you want to be able to have a guy that still has potential to hit a home run for you. And they didn't really have that. And if you look at Evans at App State, man, this guy had plenty of 70-plus yard runs. It's just the injury. He had juice. And a couple times that we saw him play, he caught that screen and he ran that down to inside in the low red zone and then punched it in for a touch. He had the juice, but it just – he couldn't stay healthy, man. And some guys, their bodies just aren't built for being in the league, or some guys just it's unfortunate for them. And I wish him the best. He just got baptized. He got engaged. So he has some really huge things happening for him off the field. Hopefully on the field things can get back in line for him somewhere.
I just remember at training camp, he was the number 2 running back across the board. He was a guy that I thought they were going to rely on not only as a 3rd down back, but also rely on to take a little bit of the work off of Derrick Henry, and he just could not get on the field this year.
They couldn't stay healthy. Man.
TD, you are the expert on Carson Wentz. You literally wrote the book on Carson Wentz. You can go to Amazon.com and buy TD's book about Carson Wentz, which, by the way, it's going to need some more chapters in there, TD.
Hey, I'm done with that.
as far as Carson Wentz is concerned, What do you make of the situation in Indianapolis? What do you make of the Zach Kiefer reporting that basically Irsay was like, nah, I'm done with this dude. And then Washington took him and paid the money and gave the picks anyways. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I was really surprised that the trade happened. And then looking at the picks,
mind-boggling.
Hey, Chris Ballard did a good job of kind of like covering up a big blemish, you know. And I get, you know, what he did as far as having that belief that Frank Reich could get him back on track, you know, looking at the glory days in Philly, so on and so forth. But it's just Carson's problem. It's kind of like a gift and a curse. Like you want guys who always want to make plays. You want guys who are always trying to get the best out of each play. But at the same time, you don't want a guy that doesn't understand that the journey's over. And that's the biggest thing that Carson Wentz has. And this even goes back to when he first got there. That's one of the things they will always work on with him is, hey, look, just live to see another play. But the problem is so many of his top-tier plays came from him. Like there was one play I remember going against Washington, right? He had 3 different defensive linemen around him. I'm like, play's over. All of a sudden you see this dude duck and dip, and he emerges, and this was a 3rd down, by the way. He emerges from the pile and sprints another like 13 yards, and it's a 1st down.
Yeah, that was a Monday Night Football game where I
you
thought
remember
Carson
that?
Wentz
Yeah,
might be the next great quarterback.
Yeah, and then there was another one where he was running out of bounds, and they tried to tackle him, and he sidearmed to throw like 50-plus yards down the field, and Nelson Aguilar caught it, and it was a big play, and that was Sunday Night Football. So like the big plays that he does and the things that he's able to do, it's great when it happens, but when you get the guy that doesn't realize the journey's over, and he Kareem Abdul-Jabbar style skyhooks a throw, and David Long, who was that? David Long? I think it was David Long picked it off. No, it was
Molden.
It was Molden. Yeah, Molden got because David, David, you couldn't get into the end zone, man. But Molden caught it, and he got into the end zone. You know, so those type of plays you can't have.
I think the bigger thing that surprised me about this whole thing with Indianapolis is the fact that it was clearly Irsay who didn't want any more Carson Wentz. And I kept remembering all the things that came out of Philly, and you would talk about it. Like, we'd hear about, you know, unnamed sources saying they like Foles more than Wentz, and then I think it was you that told me Miles Sanders after Jalen Hurts got the job was like, this guy's the leader we need. And I'm like, those were red flags for Indy to invest in, and now Washington to invest in it. Like, that's pretty crazy. This Wentz thing, like, I think Irsay, if he's this mad that they don't have a plan B at quarterback, this may tell me that Reich and Ballard are probably firmly on the hot seat entering next year.
Yeah, I would say they are on the hot seat. But it's just like, okay, what do? You bring in Jimmy Garoppolo?
I'm rooting, as a Titan fan, TD, I'm rooting for them to get Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If I'm Kevin Byard in that secondary, I'm like, yeah.
He already threw him 3 interceptions basically this year. Throw 6 more next year.
And if I'm that front 4, I'll be rooting for it too, because Garoppolo's one of those guys. He sees a different flash of color. I was telling Derek Mason and Willie yesterday. You know, he sees a different flash of color. He starts flinching, and you know, he's a guy that you could get in there and they want to work on turning the football over, right? Strip sacks. He's a guy you could get those on.
TD, am I crazy?
Yeah.
That I think Jameis Winston – well, that is true. Am I crazy that I think Jameis Winston is the best quarterback on the free agent market, and nobody's talking about it, and nobody's talking about the fact that he was 5-2 last year and didn't turn the ball over with Sean Payton as his coach in New Orleans last year? And I hear all these people talking about Trubisky and Marcus, and there's a part of me that's like, I really don't want the Colts to get Jameis Winston.
Yeah, you're not crazy for saying that, honestly, because and so many people make fun of the 30 interception season that he had. But I tell you what, there were a good amount of those that weren't his fault. But also, you have to look at what was Bruce Arians' main saying before Tom Brady got in there.
No risk it, no biscuit. They encourage Winston to throw interceptions.
Hey, man, put it up there. We'll live with the results, but just put it up there. Give your guys a shot. So when you're pushing your quarterback to do those things, interceptions are going to be up. Now, is Jameis Winston the best quarterback in the league? No, obviously. But as far as guys that are available now, you daggone right I would take him over Mitchell Trubisky. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And you're darn right. I'll take him over Teddy Bridgewater also because at least with Jameis, he's going to push the ball down the field. Teddy B is a very efficient quarterback. You're going to, 1,000 paper cut kind of kill people, but you're not going to gash them the way that you can with Jameis. And that's why I watched Jenna Lane, the NFL Nation Bucks reporter. She said that Jameis could be in play to come back to Tampa. So that's something to consider.
What did you make of the Russell Wilson trade to Denver?
I was shocked. I was like, that one floored me. I could not believe it just because I didn't think that Russell Wilson was going to be traded. And then for the Broncos to be able to put that trade together, it's a solid trade for them. I don't personally think that single-handedly makes them a contender. They lost Noah Fant in the deal. And Noah Fant is a very good player. So now you got to figure out what you're going to do tight end-wise. Well, hey, this is a very deep tight end class, and you do have options in this free agency to bring some guys in that could, help you out. But I think it makes the AFC West more competitive. It's funny. I listed the quarterbacks in the AFC West, and I said the Titans have to play the AFC West. I said the secondary will be tested. And good old Kevin Byard, he replied to my tweet with a meme of Bart Scott and Sal Paolantonio.
I was thinking that exactly. Can't wait. I
loved it. I loved it.
Exactly. I was like, he probably did the Bart Scott can't wait.
Yep, that's exactly what he did.
You know what's crazy, too, about the Russell Wilson thing? And I said this last night, and I believe this. And I mean this with no disrespect to Russell. Russell's a great player. I mean, there's no taking away. I think because Stafford won as soon as he got to L.A., Brady won in Tampa, Manning won in Denver. I think there's like some sense that if you get the quarterback, you're guaranteed to win the Super Bowl. And I don't think that that's taking into account where Denver really is right now. And maybe look, I love Russell, but he's not Manning going there, winning the MVP and later a Super Bowl. He's a better version of Stafford going to the Rams, but I don't think the Broncos are where the Rams were when Stafford got there.
Right, exactly. They're not a quarterback away from winning. And I think that's the major point that has to be driven home. Whereas the Rams, they were an upgrade away from winning. I mean, you look at everything around, there's just, we don't need to get into it. They had a stacked roster, and they went out and got Odell Beckham Jr. So, I mean, I think there's still moves to be made for the Broncos to be that team that, hey, look, hands down, they'll overtake the Chiefs, or, hey, man, they're definitely better than the Bengals or, so on and so forth. So I want to see how that works. But I tell you what, though, we're talking trades. The one trade you better hope doesn't happen, and if it does cancel Christmas, Saquon Barkley to the Bills. You better hope that doesn't happen, because if it does, it's over.
Well, there's a pipeline there, too, that would scare you. Now Saquon has to be able to make it through the season, but other than that, I wouldn't disagree with that. TD's with us. We could talk about this for literally 3 hours.
Right.
But I want TD because, again, the TD Power Hour is on Thursday and the league year opens Wednesday. I want TD's free agent plan for the Titans. Okay. Just kind of what is the focus going to be, kind of where are the big spots, what do you take away from the combine? That's next with TD and the TD Power Hour. 615-737-1025. Get your questions in. FanDuel Sportsbook's my official sportsbook app. It's conference championship week in college basketball, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, customers can place their first bet, their first college basketball bet risk-free, and if you don't win, you'll get up to $1,000 back. So you can take a chance on a same-game parlay or jump into the action. That's right. Or you've got big odds, boosts, and promotions. And if you're thinking about joining FanDuel, now's the perfect time to give it a shot. The app is easy to use, and they're always hooking you up with great odds. So see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook app and my official sportsbook app. I absolutely love the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's easy to use. Download it. Use the promo code JGM to get your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. That's promo code JGM. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site. Credit expires in 14 days. And restrictions apply. See all the full terms. FanDuel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Saturday.
Matt Duchene puts it away upstairs, and the Predators take a 5-0 lead.
The Predators have a midday matchup against the St. Louis Blues.
It's a lot of fun playing with this team.
Pre-game at 10:30. Face-off at 11:30 on Smashville's Best Sports Talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The stage is set. The rumors are true. The wait is over. My Chemical Romance. Live. The 2022 tour. August 23rd, Bridgestone Arena. My Chemical Romance with special guests, Turnstile and Dilly Dally. Tickets are on sale this Friday at noon. Buy tickets at livenation.com. My Chemical Romance in concert.
Winter's a bad time for your furnace to go out, but it's never a bad time to call Lee Company. Our heating and air conditioning pros are available 24/7. No heat? Don't wait. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000. Our expert technicians will diagnose the issue and fix it right the first time. When you're cold, you need someone you can count on to bring the heat. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
Attention veterans of Middle Tennessee. Little Guys Movers wants to put your hard-earned skills and leadership talent to work with your very own Little Guys Movers franchise. Be your own boss and build a team with standards as high as your own, and all while serving your community with the same hustle that you served your country. Use your existing 401k to invest in yourself. Financing options are available. Start a fulfilling, profitable new chapter of your life as a member of a team with 30-plus years of growth and good times at littleguysfranchise.com. That's littleguysfranchise.com.
This is Chef John from Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville. Inviting you to come join us for breakfast and lunch. We're offering some exciting new menu items. We have Grandma's famous chicken and dumpling soup. We're offering a fun and new exciting Nashville hot battered shrimp. We're also very excited about our confit chicken hash. Join us in Kitchen Notes for our award-winning patty melt made with our house-made pimento cheese, local Blackhawk Farms beef patty. Come join us in Kitchen Notes and create a memorable experience here at the Omni Hotel. Food is all about memories for us. We'd like you to start a new memory here at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Hotel.
Lunch at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
ESPN's Turon Davenport breaks down the Titans like no other.
On the field chemistry, I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's just going to be a process.
Catch TD Mondays at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Fridays at 8. Plus, the Talking with TD podcast drops every Wednesday.
When you draft players, it's not just for one season, it's for a career.
Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, it's Max Kellerman, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
TD Power Hour here on Stillman and Company, and I am just going to shut up because the league year is less than a week away. Free agency for the Titans. We know they'll find cap space one way or another. Last year on the first day of free agency, they lost Jonnu Smith right away. Everybody was like, oh no. They lost Corey Davis. They were like, oh, what's going to happen? They signed Bud Dupree. Everybody's like, yes. They signed Danico Autry. Me and TD were like, yes. A lot of people just kind of went under the rug. And Danico Autry, no disrespect to Bud, who played well this year, Danico Autry was a bad boy. So these little signings can make a big deal. So, TD, I'm going to hush. What is the plan for free agency for John Robinson?
Well, I think the plan, first and foremost, they have to figure out what they're going to do at center. If they see enough guys that they like at center in this draft to allow them to move on from Ben Jones as far as allowing him to walk, or if they feel that he needs to be back. Now, John Robinson said that he would like to have Ben Jones back. He credited him for, the leadership and the intelligence that he has and just the man that he is. So I would imagine they try to figure out a way to bring him back. So that's one thing to look at. I will tell you this. There's a few centers that they looked. I know they had interest in Cole Strange, who was a guest on Talking with TD this week. He is a tailor-made fit for the zone scheme. So he's someone probably third round, fourth round, somewhere in that ballpark. You could get him. Cam Jurgens out of Nebraska is another one that has drawn interest from them. And obviously in the first round, if he's there at 26, Tyler Linderbaum is a guy that you have to consider. And that's kind of how things could work there. But I think the big thing for them is the tight end position. And I have something posting this weekend that I just submitted in regards to that. And I wouldn't expect big spending, at all overall, especially like in this first wave of free agency. I think their move in this first wave was bringing Harold Landry back. So I wouldn't see much, but as you begin to see the market kind of settle in, guys like O.J. Howard, if he's remaining, on the market, a one-year deal. Gronkowski, if they could convince him to come in. And by the way, he does train at Arete, which is right there in Green Hills.
He and Adam Bobo are boys.
Yeah. So, I mean, there is a local tie. Take that for what it's worth. But this would give him an opportunity to win another chip. But then also it would give him an opportunity to play for a coach that truly understands the lessons and the importance of work management for veteran players. So I could see that. Hayden Hurst is another one that I would consider. I know there was interest in Dalton Schultz, but obviously he's been tagged, so that's out of the picture. So long story short, the tight end position I think is something that you'll see them do. But other than that, I think really, and I'm going to write about this because when you look at, and it's funny because I was talking to a guy that's pretty close to Jeffrey Simmons last night, and to have him in on the fifth-year option, when that kicks in at $10.1 million, like that is just like it's a crime. So I think eventually, that's something they're going to look at getting done, and obviously A.J. Brown is another one that you want to get wrapped up because these are two heartbeats for your offense and defense. So I wouldn't expect much free agency-wise. They kind of like did what their primary goal, in my opinion, was to do, and now it's just a matter of filling in some holes and making sure that they're ready for the draft. And receiver-wise, I don't think there's too many options that they'll go to. I know talking to a lot of receivers, Chris Olave is a guy they spoke to. Jahan Dotson, they spoke to him.
Chris Olave might have run his way away from the Titans, and Jahan Dotson might have run his way in the other direction away from the Titans.
Yeah, I think, they still like bigger receivers, right? And so, Christian Watson is a guy I know they like out of North Dakota State, and I'm going to start saying his name a lot more, and I'm going to have him on Talking with TD, and coincidentally his last name is Moore, and that's Sky Moore out of Western Michigan. That dude he's fun to watch, fun to talk to. So he's another one that could come in at that slot position. And he should be there, for them, especially if they're able to manufacture a second-round pick.
What do you think they're going to do? There's kind of in my opinion, three different elements of tight end, of free agent, where you have like the big money tight end, like a Harold Landry or a Bud Dupree last year. Then you've got kind of those like third level, fill in the roster a week after free agency. It's 1 year, $4 million, whatever, like Josh Reynolds. But then there's that middle tier where they found Nico Autry last year, and they found guys in the past in that middle tier free agent where it's not a ton of money, but they're a solid player. Are there guys on your radar that perhaps could fill holes maybe at receiver or on defense for this team?
Guys at defense. I can't think of any guys at receiver or defense, to be honest with you. And an interesting one, if you want to bring him in, and this is one that I've thought about for quite some time. He's like a Lamborghini, though, right? When it's running, it's all good. But man,
Odell?
No, when you got to put him in the shop, dadgummit, it's bad, and that's Will Fuller. And I think, he is a guy that if you could get him on, a 1-year deal just to kind of get himself back on track, but come in and be an option for them, I think that would be a good move. But I don't see a lot of free agent receivers that I feel, match them. Looking at this group, I don't – Rashard Higgins is interesting, but – his luster kind of wore off. Cedric Wilson is someone that's interesting, but I don't really think that they should go the free agent receiver route.
What did you take away from the combine as far as positions? You were talking about center. We talked about wide receiver. Chris yesterday said he thinks they need a burner. Now, of course, he was a burner, so maybe he wants them to go get another Chris Sanders, but I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
With A.J. on one side and Julio – I think Julio still has some usefulness in him. It's not going to be, Julio Jones, But I think if they can get some speed on the field with those two guys, it can make everybody's life a lot easier. What did you kind of take away from the combine?
Yeah, I mean, they do need a burner, and they talk to some guys that are burners. I don't care what, Jahan Dotson ran. The fact of the matter is he is a vertical threat. Chris Olave is that rare guy who has that speed but also understands how to run routes. And like I said, they had a meeting with him. But there are a lot of guys. I mean, you look at a guy named Isaiah Weston out of where is he from? Northern Iowa. I was watching Northern Iowa just to see Trevor Penning, the tackle. I'm like, who the heck is this guy that can't be stopped on these vertical routes? And sure enough, it was Isaiah Weston, who's like 6'4", 218. So, I mean, there's vertical options out there. I think they need to get one from the slot position, and that's why I like, Jahan Dotson. That's why I like Olave. And the thing that I like about Olave is he's already used to being on a team that has other significant targets, like pass catchers. So he understands, he's already used to, having to play with other guys who are going to get plenty of targets. So that being able to adjust to making the most out of limited targets is already there for him.
Last Power Hour, I asked you about who's a quarterback that is, just exudes Vrabel and Robinson, and you said without a doubt Desmond Ridder out of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
That night, I watched Ridder throw. Again, shorts, T-shirt, no rush, I thought Ridder looked the part. I was listening to Solomon Wilcots and Bucky Brooks this morning. They are absolutely in love with Desmond Ridder. And Bucky Brooks was talking about how he has the maturity running a program at Cincinnati a lot like Dak Prescott did coming out of Mississippi State. I mean, I would love the Titans to get a receiver. I think they need a receiver. But if Ridder really is the package and is a Vrabel Robinson guy at 26, I think they have to be thinking about him. What did you think about his performance and what you heard in Indianapolis?
Yeah, I think Ridder did well. Now, a couple deep throws, he left it, too far inside. But, I mean, you're working with new guys. There's an adjustment. But there were a couple where he dropped it right in the bucket over their shoulder. And Ridder, I still remain convinced that he's probably the best match for the Titans as far as, a guy. And that's I asked John Robinson about getting to that point where you start selecting your quarterback of the future. And he mentioned having a guy that will come in and compete. He may not necessarily take over, but he is someone that will come in and compete, and he could eventually, become the starter. And you want to be able to do that knowing that you're picking typically in the back end of the first round. So a lot of those premier guys may not be there, but you want to get a guy that's right there on the cusp of it, and that's Desmond Ridder. So I think there's a match. And definitely the being the CEO, like having that mindset and that understanding, like the face of the university, I think that really helped as far as like making him prepare for the league. And then you also have to look at his ability to, make checks at the line of scrimmage. And it's interesting because the game manager aspect of it, that's something that he said he really likes about Ryan Tannehill, and he sees a similar thing in himself. And on top of that, what did Mike Vrabel say about evaluating quarterbacks? He talked about guys that are mobile, right? Mm-hmm. Guys that could get on the move. Desmond Ridder, it was like 4.5 something he ran.
4.52.
He's clearly an athlete. So there's all of those things that you like. Now, I will say this. I talked to Carson Strong out of Nevada. The Titans, showed some interest in him. Now, he's a guy on third downs. He makes it happen, and I asked him about that. And he also told me, because you have the thing with the knee, he told me that surgery that he had typically, and I believe I text this to you, the surgery typically has a 1-year recovery. He came back in 6 months. So he's beginning to further himself away from that injury, and that will allow him to be more mobile. Now, he's not going to be a Michael Vick or anybody. But then also Sam Howell, I talked to him about improving the footwork, right? And he said that the Titans had some interest in him as well.
Let's get to your questions for TD next. 615-737-1025, free agency draft. It's all there. No one knows more than TD. That's next. TD Power Hour, Stillman & Company. It's ESPN 1025 The Game.
Hey, I'm Ryan Johansson, and this is Smashville.
Back to Johansson, and Johansson tips it in with one hand on the stick.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 1025 The Game.
If you need to hire, you need Indeed. With Indeed, you can attract, screen, and interview candidates all from one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Hey, it's me, Chase McCabe, and listen, you know that I love BetMGM. I use it all the time, and I talk about it all the time. They are the king of sportsbooks, and they unleash the spirit of Las Vegas with BetMGM rewards. Every time you make a wager at BetMGM, you can earn BetMGM rewards points that you can redeem for online bonus credits like free bets and risk-free tokens. If you're planning a trip to Vegas, like I am, you can also convert your BetMGM points into MGM rewards points that you can use towards dining, shows, and hotel rooms at over 20 MGM Resorts properties located on the Las Vegas Strip and nationwide. BetMGM Rewards is sports betting's premier loyalty program featuring exclusive offers, incredible experiences, and valuable perks when you wager on the BetMGM app. Sign up with BetMGM or log on today and get an even bigger piece of the action with BetMGM Rewards. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Tennessee only. For problem gambling support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789.
Get that luxury watch you've always dreamed of this weekend at Genesis Diamonds. Genesis is hosting a spectacular 3-day event featuring a huge selection of pre-owned Rolex watches. Yes, these are the timepieces you can't find anywhere, but Genesis has them. Daytonas, Submariners, Pepsis, Datejust, Sky Dwellers, and more. Come pick out your luxury pre-owned Rolex and get up to $3,000 in Genesis gift cards, plus 60-month special financing. Our buyers are on site for this event, so if you already own a Rolex and want to sell it, you'll get top dollar. Or trade yours for a different model. All Genesis luxury pre-owned Rolexes are hand-selected and rigorously inspected in pristine condition, and our selection has never been better. Don't miss this special pre-owned Rolex buy, sell, trade event at Genesis Diamonds this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes. Both locations, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. So you need to change your oil. Right now you can get 5 quarts of Valvoline Daily Protection or Valvoline Max Life High Mileage Motor Oil with an STP oil filter, plus an STP air filter or cabin air filter for just $36.99. Visit one of our 6,000 stores or order from AutoZone.com for same-day store pickup or next-day delivery.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Meshing journalism.
They are 2 scores behind you. The math says that increases your chances of winning.
With sports fandom.
I stayed up till 1:30 in the morning, just emotionally numb from Titans and Packers.
And sarcasm.
You guys are the worst.
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexrode. No duh. Weekday mornings from 6 to 10. Brought to you by Little Guys Movers on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
This is Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
TD's with us for the TD Power Hour. Caroline went to the bathroom during the break, and as she was coming back, I had to do like the Joe Burrow, like the clap, like to tell the center to snap the ball.
My shoes are not low heels, and I started running in them. So, TD, I did that for you. I did that for the people because the people got questions.
Way to get on your horse. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
that.
You know what? Hustlers hustle.
I was afraid I was going to have to call a timeout. I was afraid we were going to have to burn our first time out of the first half.
You would have made
Nope, she ran onto the field and got lined up. Now just give it a play.
There you go. There you go. Questions for TD, 615-737-1025. Phone line driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. I stand out of the way now.
Josh texts in and asks TD, with the signing of Landry, who else beyond Jones and Saffold might the Titans have to cut? Is Lawan in consideration?
No, there's no way they cut Lawan. They're not going to have that whole left side of that offensive line need to be replaced. I would say they'll go ahead and look to restructure Lawan, but don't be surprised that, I know they've shown interest in a series of tackles and guards, so don't be surprised if they select a guard or tackle pretty early. And why do I say guard? Well, I say guard because if they go ahead and select a guard, that would mean, especially like 3rd round, that would mean it's very likely that Dylan Radins, even though he's gotten most of his work at left guard, that would mean that he's probably more in the running for the tackle spot. If they go out and select the tackle, that would mean he's probably going to be the starter at left guard.
I'll say this one thing about Lawan. I see the money and the fact that he misses games, he's kind of inconsistent. I'm like, okay, it could be a cut candidate. But the market for left tackle since he signed that contract 4 or 5 years ago, I mean, we're talking about $24 million a year.
That's nuts.
So, I mean, Lawan at 14 is, I mean, it's, that's like average to below average now. So he got to stay. What's next?
Mark from Clarksville texts in and says, what's more likely to happen in the draft? The Titans should trade the first round pick for more picks or to draft a quarterback at any point in the draft.
I mean, it takes two to tango, right, as far as trading for more picks. I know that's something that they would like to do, but I would say this, it's likely that they draft a quarterback at some point in this draft. So I'll go that route.
Another texter asks, with the release of Darrington Evans, can we expect either Foreman or Hilliard to be back next season?
Yeah, I think Foreman's going to be back. You could expect him to be back, so he would be the one. And, I could even see Hilliard back too. It just depends. And those running backs like Hilliard, Evans, those types, you could get them. So they may go an even cheaper option, whether it be in the draft or something like that. A guy like Kyron Williams out of Notre Dame is a good option that I think could do everything that they would want out of a third down back. And you still have the Mick weapon, right? Jeremy McNichols.
Yeah, I think the thing that I learned, and if you get the right back in the draft, that guy could become a star. But I think we learned this year that if Derrick Henry's going to be the guy, and then you can find, kind of the complementary guys to Derrick Henry out there.
Exactly.
Another texter asked TD, if you had to put all of your chips in on strengthening the defense or the offense, which one would you choose?
Ooh.
Right now, it's got to be the offense because, I mean, that front four, you heard Harold Landry say it today. He said, as long as you have a dominant front four, you could be in the game with anybody. And I think it was shown in the divisional playoff game. I mean, they had 3 turnovers and still lost the game by 3 points. You know what I mean? So the defense is set. But I think the offense is where it has to come together. You have offensive line that you got to square up. You got the tight end position, and you still need another receiver. So put all your chips in there, and I think that's what they're going to do in the draft.
So I would only say defense for this one reason. Every time I talk bad about Tannehill, somebody will say to me that Trent Dilfer or Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but do you realize, and I hate that analogy, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I mean to cut you off. These are all-time level defenses.
That's what I'm talking about. Is the Titans are like a step below that,
Yeah, I'm not going to go there.
That's like when I talked about that with Keyshawn, about Brad Johnson, and Keyshawn was like, this defense wasn't our defense in Tampa Bay. Exactly. I'm like, I know. Derek Brooks, I know. Trust me.
Simeon Rice, Rondé Barber. Funny story.
Warren Sapp.
Going into that stadium there for the preseason game, somebody thought I was Rondé Barber. I'm like, what? Come on, man.
When you go to New York, do they think you're Tiki?
I hope not.
Well, I mean, if they think you're Rondé, they got to think you're Tiki. I mean, what else we got?
Josh texts in and asks, what offensive lineman could the Titans grab at 26 that could be a plug-in starter? Or should the Titans take best available at 26 and trade up for an offensive lineman in round 2?
I'm going to take the front half of the comment, take best available. But at 26, there could be a guy like a Kenyon Green there. Kenyon Green is, by the way, the top guard in this class. He's an option. Tyler Smith out of Tulsa, who can play guard and tackle, he will probably be there too, so that gives you flexibility, to kind of put him and Dylan Radins out there and see where they end up sticking. Those are 2 options that I think will be there at 26. And they seem to be in line with me with this because they've shown a lot of interest in this next guy. We'll have him on Talking with TD. Marquise Hayes out of Oklahoma. If you get to watch Oklahoma tape, number 54, he is a nasty finisher that you could get out on the move. He'll make the blocks there, but he's suited for the zone scheme. He's used to, blocking on the run and those type of things, blocking spaces. So that's the direction I would go, best player available. But Marquise Hayes is a guy I believe in the 3rd round. You could go ahead and grab him.
See, I'm going to get crazy here. I'm starting to like Desmond Ridder a little too much because I keep thinking about 26, and I'm like, if Desmond Ridder is really as good as Bucky Brooks and Solomon Wilcots and everybody else is starting to say he is.
You didn't mention me. I was the first one that told you.
No,
that
you were the one that said he was a Vrabel and Robinson guy, and the thing I know about Vrabel and Robinson, especially at that position, is they want a Vrabel and Robinson guy.
Mm-hmm.
Ron texts in and says the Titans will pretty much be playing the top 10 quarterbacks in the league this year. And with that being said, do you think that there's a quarterback out there like Jimmy G or someone else like that is willing to take a back seat knowing he's on a team that he could potentially be the starter, plus on a team with hopes and potential to go to the Super Bowl, just in case Tannehill gets too comfortable with his job?
Can I cut in on that and say, because they re-signed Woodside, but I don't think it's like a big connection there, like that they have to keep Woodside. Kind of what did you make of that and maybe the backup situation there?
What, with Woodside?
Well, like with Woodside and the idea of going out and saying that when all the musical quarterbacking is done, that Andy Dalton or somebody could come in to be behind Tannehill.
I don't know that they'll be able to do that because of the money. I don't know that. I don't believe backup and because Tannehill has such a big number, I don't believe that they could invest that Andy Dalton level money in because you're talking what $8 to $10 million probably. So I can't see a veteran coming in and being somebody like that. I think they're going to continue to have Woodside there and have guys like Kaiser, Kevin Hogan, those types on call, ready to come in if something, God forbid, should happen.
Yeah, now I really want Desmond Ridder because you put Desmond Ridder behind Tannehill.
Another texter asks, what is one position that you think the Titans need to address in free agency instead of trying to get it in the draft?
I can't say instead of, but I'll say in conjunction with, and that's tight end. I think they need to sign one, and two guys that I told you about, Jelani Woods at 6'7", 259, ran that 4.61. Chig Okonkwo, it came out. He admitted that he's a lot like Jonnu Smith. He said he's a more athletic version. He ran pretty fast too and showed versatility. So you could double up, sign a O.J. Howard, Hayden Hurst, that type. Turn around and draft those two guys, or even Greg Dulcich, who in my opinion is the best deep threat out of this tight end class, or Cade Otton, who in my opinion is the best blocker, or you could get the best of both worlds with Charlie Kolar. There's so many options. It's like Baskin Robbins, man, like the 31 flavors. You get all you want at this tight end position. So I think what you need to do is sign a veteran, and then also complement it with 2 draft picks.
Okay, I get the last one for TD. Did you think? Because I was on a flight, and I was able to watch the defensive linemen go on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that there's at least going to be 2 out of those 3 Georgia kids on the defensive line that were like 350 pounds and running like 4.8 40s.
Man, listen.
I think at least 2 of those 3 are going to be like all pros. I mean, those guys. That's why they were the best team in college.
I tell you what, Jordan Davis is really interesting to me, and I wanted to ask the question, but I wasn't really pressed because I know he's not someone the Titans will get. But he was asked to do so many things as far as double gapping, two gapping, and playing against the run. I think he has a lot of potential as a pass rusher. And if put in the right, I know like the Ravens, you put him with the Ravens next to Brandon Williams, and you got something cooking. And I think he could be a pass rusher. And I know you mentioned the D linemen, but the DBs, man, I was really talking about the cornerbacks. Roger McCreary out of Auburn is a really good player. I think, he's someone that could be there at 26. I would consider it. You got Kair Elam out of Florida. And it's funny, funny story. I was at the podium, and I told him, I say, you're the type of corner. And I said, don't take this the wrong way, but if you and I were on the same team, I will fight you every day. And he looked at me like, what? And I said, you had that feistiness. And I really like that, and I appreciate that. And I asked him where it came from, and it was just a good conversation. I think he's a guy that would help out as well.
TD with us as always, talking with TD's got a full breakdown, I got to assume, from the Combine. We're probably getting the prospects rolling in there. Chris Sanders probably saying a whole bunch of crazy stuff. I'm sure. Did I miss anything on this week's Talking with TD?
No, Cole Strange, University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, guard/center. Chris and I, we went back and looked at some of the receivers and some of the things he liked and didn't like. But then in addition to that, I don't know if you remember Anthony Bett. He played tight end for the Jets and Bucks, among other teams. But he was the NFL legend guiding the tight ends around at the Combine. So I got him to talk about some of those guys. He said that Hayden Hurst would be a really good fit for the Titans. So that's just a little nugget that you get in there. You could find out why by listening to the show, of course, on Google Podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, and everywhere else.
There you go. TD, as always, for the TD Power Hour. Good stuff. TD coming up next. Boy, There's a lot of people thinking this is going to happen, and I'm praying for the Tennessee Titans, that I'm praying to the football gods that it does, and that's next right here. Stillman and Company, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Weekday mornings from 5 to 9.
Did you see the Tennessee Titans? He has all the weapons to make it happen.
There's so much to pay attention to. Greeny from 9 to 11.
Ryan Tannehill is the most disrespected player.
Art and Han from 11 to 2.
You never stop punching. They've got to learn how to close the deal.
And the Paul Feinbaum Show afternoons from 2 to 6.
Are these legitimate contenders to the party?
Your exclusive home for ESPN Radio in the Music City.
ESPN
94.9 and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Okay, folks, this is exciting. This is Conference Championship Week in college basketball, and FanDuel Sportsbook has an offer you don't want to miss. Joe Rexford here to let you know that new customers can place their first college basketball bet risk-free, and if you don't win, you get up to $1,000 back. Huge week. I mean, take it to Tampa, Florida, where Tennessee and Vanderbilt. I would look at Tennessee, a money line winner to at least get to Saturday. I'd also be looking at Kennedy Chandler, his scoring under on a Tennessee game, because I think their defense is really going to travel to Tampa. Lots of ways you can go with this, of course. Got to do it on FanDuel. Easy to use app. Great odds. Get paid quickly. See for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Sign up with promo code Joe102. Get that first bet risk-free up to $1,000. That is, again, promo code Joe102. You must be 21 or older in present Tennessee. First online real money wage. Your only refund issue is now a double site. Credit expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 800-889-9789.
Wow, I've got a whole 5 minutes before my next call. What should I do? Grab a snack? Nah. Text with mom? That's more than a 5-minute proposition. I have been looking at getting a new bank account. Is that even possible?
Can't believe you have extra time? You won't believe what you can do with it. Open a Regions checking account online in as little as 5 minutes. Then enjoy award-winning service and banking tools and tech that help you live in the moment. Learn more at regions.com/live-in-the-moment. Regions Bank, member FDIC.
It's Family Leisure's Factory Direct Sale.
Which factory? From where?
Family Leisure has truckloads of new model merchandise from all their factories arriving daily.
Really? Like what?
Well, spas for one. All the new model spas are here and on sale. From Artesian, Viking, and Bimini Spas. Spas as low as $29.99.
Okay.
Family Leisure is getting all the new patio furniture styles. Hannah Mint, Trapeatone, and Woodard are on sale. And there are still a lot of floor models left to sell at ridiculous prices. The guaranteed largest selection and lowest prices in the Mid-South.
Now that's interesting.
Family Leisure has factory direct pricing on pools. 24-foot pools starting as low as $29.99 installed. And solid wood slate pool tables are only $14.99 as well.
That means the grills, smokers, and grill islands are on sale too.
Of course. Family Leisure even has the new 24-lamp wolf tanning beds on sale for $26.99.
Even the massage chairs, theater seating, and leather sectionals are on sale.
That's right. That's Family Leisure's factory direct sale going on now.
Both locations, Antioch and Franklin.
Okay, so we got the chorizo dumplings, the cucumber empanadas.
Zara's food truck is popping off.
Come on, guys, let's pick it up, all right?
But if she doesn't find a new chef, her truck will be stuck.
Carl quit this morning, so Jessica, I'm gonna need you on the fryer.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting 97.5 Murfreesboro, 106.3 Williamson County,
ESPN
102.5 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell media station.
Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. ESPN 102.5 The Game should be live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry, live from Bridgestone Arena, where the Predators play today. And I think my computer just went out, but that's okay. Anywho,
that's all right.
Predators take on the Anaheim Ducks. I mean, what happened to my jumper tech?
Well, that's what you get for buying your jumper tech on Amazon.
Jumper tech, I thought
all
was
thanks
gonna be
to
good.
Jeff Bezos for he and his technological advancements. But
well, it's been going crazy on me like all day that it's like not plugged in. Oh, I think everything just went out over here.
Oh, did it?
Interesting.
Oh, my computer's still plugged in, but all the screens are going out.
Everything seems to be going out. What is going on? Oh, hold on. I have a little bit of action here. All right, anywho, I don't want to waste anybody's time on my stuff. Again, Jumper Tech. I bought a cheap computer on Amazon. Sue me. Anywho, so I want to get to this, which is Jimmy Garoppolo and a mystery candidate for the Indianapolis Colts. Everybody yesterday, the second the Colts traded Carson Wentz, which I still can't figure out why the Colts did that. Like, why the Colts traded Carson Wentz and have no backup play. Why Washington did that. I'll never understand.
It shows how desperate both Washington and Indianapolis were.
Yeah, the Indianapolis was like, just get the hell out of here.
Yeah, we're done with you.
And the trade actually wasn't that bad, which is pretty impressive that Indy had been saying that they wanted to get rid of this guy, and then they still did it anyways. And, to me...
But, getting 2/3 in return for a guy that you traded a first and a third for just a season ago?
It ain't just 2/3. One of those could be a second. So I think it's that same conditional like last year with the one where it was really a conditional second.
It was a second and a third, but conditional second.
But it became a first.
Right.
And so it looked like a stupid trade. And Washington makes a lot of stupid trades, so I guess that doesn't totally surprise me. But everybody then started talking about Jimmy Garoppolo as the option in Indianapolis. And Pat McAfee, who, through and through Colts on the Pat McAfee show, he really wants Jimmy Garoppolo. And as a Titans fan, I would say this. I want Jimmy Garoppolo to go there too. This is what McAfee said.
Jimmy G seems like a dream. Him only throwing the ball 6 times. Colts fans last year dreaming for that kid. Absolutely. But we're paying a guy. Now we're going to have to pay Jimmy G because he's won and he's a veteran. And obviously he's probably in the middle of a bidding war right now because of how everything's panned out with Russell and Aaron Rodgers. But the entire thought that all I want is just give me a boring quarterback. You give me the handsome Jimmy G or the if I die Kirk Cousins, knowing that they'll set us up in the right positions. We get a weapon. Both of those guys can complete passes. Deebo Samuel, before he became the utility player over there, was the slant god. Yeah. And then George Kittle is an absolute monster. Jimmy G can complete passes. Everybody acts like he cannot do that. He can, but either of those options are great. So I'm flying high this morning.
So he's loving it, right? He's taught. This is how people talk themselves into things in the NFL. Mm-hmm. I have not moved off. I think Jimmy sucks. I told you that. What was crazy was I didn't say that going into the 49ers game. But then Jimmy just gave the Titans the game. And then I started watching it more, and it was really before the Titans-Bengals playoff game. Jimmy had that forgettable game against the Cowboys, and then I watched the Bengals-49ers game so I could get a feel for what the Bengals were about. And I sat down. It was a Thursday night, left here at Bridgestone Arena, went right home, and spent 2.5 hours watching the Bengals-49ers game. And I think that was the day that I decided, man, I have seen Jimmy really stink a lot. And I haven't moved off that. But that right there is the typical talking yourself into something, which is what I hope Indianapolis does, is it's like, yeah, he's only a game manager, but with our running game, all we need is a game manager, and so we need Jimmy, so let's get Jimmy. And then Jimmy comes in here and throws a bunch of interceptions, just like Jimmy did when he came in here in December, right before Christmas, and threw a bunch of interceptions. Mm-hmm. I'm rooting for that. And not only that, you hear McAfee talk about, those passes to Kittle, those were awesome, and the passes to Deebo. He ain't bringing Deebo and Kittle with him. And you ain't got Deebo, and you ain't got Kittle in Indianapolis.
And that's what a lot of the conversation has been. I tweeted out yesterday, what's the scariest scenario for Titans fans for Indianapolis to fill their quarterback position? So many people said Jimmy Garoppolo.
Really?
Yeah, many people said Jimmy Garoppolo. And I asked why. And one person said, well, he didn't get to 2 NFC championships in a Super Bowl for nothing. And they said, okay, is it Jimmy Garoppolo that got him to the NFC championship this past year? Or is it Deebo Samuel? Is it Jawan Jennings? Is it Brandon Ayuk? And is it
Shanahan?
Shanahan and George Kittle.
Shanahan made Matt Ryan the league MVP.
That's pretty wild.
Like, think about this. Matt Ryan. Like, we think that Tannehill stinks right now the way he's playing, and that it's Arthur Smith is the reason why Tannehill was so good. And Arthur Smith could not turn Matt Ryan into the league MVP. Arthur Smith took Tannehill, and he made him like a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback, which is saying a lot for Tannehill. I mean, hats off to Art. But, like, that's what Shanahan did with Matt Ryan. He makes Jimmy, and like they can't stand Jimmy. They trade 31st round picks to get Jimmy's replacement.
And that's what I think a lot of people don't
Jimmy
talk about
stinks.
enough is
He
the fact that the
stinks.
49ers gave up 3 first-round picks to find Jimmy's replacement. A guy who hadn't even played football the year before. That's how badly they wanted to move off of Jimmy Garoppolo. And when I look at teams who are carried by their quarterbacks, I look at, you could say Kansas City, you could say Cincinnati, you could say Buffalo. Jimmy Garoppolo is not one of those quarterbacks that carries his team.
Yeah, Green Bay is carried by the quarterback.
Yes.
But again, my bigger issue, but Indy doesn't need Jimmy to carry them. But
No.
I just don't even think Jimmy's good enough to not carry the team. Like,
He's not good enough to not hurt the team.
The McAfee, the game manager, like, that's what we need, a game manager. Jimmy's a game manager. Jimmy is a bad game manager. Like, I'd rather not give up, like, if I'm the Colts, I'd rather not give up anything and get Andy Dalton. Now, here's the interesting one. According to Pro Football Talk, the Colts have a very good team, which I'm not convinced of, but that's okay. He can write that. They currently have no clear option at quarterback, which I do agree with. He said the first name to emerge was Jimmy Garoppolo, but he's basically a less athletic, albeit more popular with his teammates' version of Carson Wentz. I do think that matters at that position.
You don't think Indy has a good team?
I think they have an okay team. Just like I think the Broncos have an okay team.
I think Indy has a better roster than the Broncos do. I think Russell Wilson goes to Indianapolis. That's a much better team than Russell Wilson in Denver.
Who's he going to throw the ball to? And maybe they figured that out in the draft, but
Yeah.
I don't know. So he writes Kirk Cousins, Florio at Pro Football Talk. He's under contract with the Vikings through 2022 with a fully guaranteed salary of $35 million. His cap number is 45, and that means he can't be franchised again in 2023. Absent an extension, it would be a one-year rental potentially for the Colts. Given the 1 year at a time nature of the modern NFL, 1 year may be enough with a very good offensive line, which would give Cousins time to get the ball to the open man, a great running back in Jonathan Taylor, and an excellent defense. Cousins could make the Colts surprisingly competitive. The only dip between the two franchises is at the receiver position, where Cousins would be losing Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. Cousins has shown no indication to extend his deal with Minnesota, nor should he. Maybe he would do so for the Colts. That would make him more attractive. The problem for the Vikings becomes replacing Cousins, as he writes. And I would say this. I heard Peter Schrager today on McAfee, and he was asked about this. And he said that Kevin O'Connell, who comes from that Shanahan tree, and Cousins is a product of the Shanahan tree, that Kevin O'Connell, apparently a big part of him wanting the job or them wanting him was the relationship with Cousins. So it sounds like Cousins is probably going to stay in Minnesota, but would we be scared if Cousins was the guy in Indianapolis? Because while Cousins everybody makes fun of, and he doesn't win a lot in primetime games, his stats were shockingly pretty good. Like, we were talking about how Cousins, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions last year.
Pretty solid season.
He had a quarterback rating of 110.6. By comparison, Tannehill was like 90.
He also has better receivers in Minnesota than he would have
He
in
would have
Indianapolis.
in Indianapolis, I agree.
He'd have a better running back in Indianapolis.
But would
still,
you be worried about it? Or would you root for it? Like, again, I'm rooting for Garoppolo to the Colts. Like, I'm rooting that the Colts deal their first-round pick next year in order to get Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, I'm rooting for it. Like, I hope that's what they do.
See, with
Would
Kirk
you root
Cousins,
for Cousins? Would you root against Cousins? How would you feel about
I'm
Cousins?
pretty
Hold that thought, because we'll get to that next, and we'll get to your thoughts on this as well. 615-737-1025 is the phone number, and we should be watching for about the next 5 days before Indianapolis gives us a hint with what they're going to do at quarterback. 615-737-1025 is our phone number here on Stillman and Company. Let me tell all the fine folks out there about something very important that I'm sure has to do with the Predators, and I will tell you about that literally right now. ESPN 1025, the game. Oh, the NCAA tournament. That's what I'm telling people about. The NCAA tournament is right around the corner, and it's time for you to sign up and play the official Game Bracket Challenge, brought to you by Coach's Corner Sports Grill in Spring Hill, Days Delta 8, and Wager. Go to theGameNashville.com/bracket challenge or the Game Nashville app now and sign up to play. Brackets will be open after the teams have been selected on Sunday, March 13th. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Play hooky with the game and watch all the games at New Heights Brewing on Thursday and Friday, March 17th and 18th. We'll be broadcasting live, and there'll be beer and basketball all day. Enjoy food from the local distro and try beers from the Tap Truck Nashville and New Heights Brewing. A portion of proceeds from beer sales will go to Metro Animal Care and Control. So come play hooky and give back at New Heights Brewing, powered by Wager, the new gaming app where you challenge your community, not the house.
Saving money feels pretty good. Allstate. Better protection costs a whole lot less. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
It's the official Bud Light Preds watch party as your Nashville Predators take on the Minnesota Wild this Sunday. Puck drops at 5 o'clock, but the party starts at 4:30 with all kinds of specials. See you at Headquarters Beercade downtown Nashville on 2nd Avenue. Go Preds!
Nothing makes one feel better than the ability to give to someone in need. You have the power to give the most important gift of all, the gift of life, with a donation of your blood. Supplies are desperately low in our area, and your help is needed. Blood Assurance is a nonprofit community blood center that supplies our Middle Tennessee area hospitals. Please find it in your heart to donate. Be someone's hero today. Go to bloodassurance.org to find a location or blood drive near you. That's bloodassurance.org. Give blood, give local, save lives with Blood Assurance.
Parman Energy is your one-stop petroleum solution across all of Tennessee, offering turnkey petroleum solutions for professionals in major industries, serving trucking fleets, construction companies, industrial plants, and more. Whether a large corporation or owner-operator, Parman Energy has your diesel fuel, lubricant, DEF, and equipment needs. No matter how you're getting there, start with Parman. Visit ParmanEnergy.com for more info. Your Tennessee petroleum solution providing totally outrageous customer service.
Hey, it's Mark Howard here. You've heard me talk about my friends at Apple Collision Centers for a while now, and today I'm here with CEO Stan Harrison to tell you about how they can help ease your stress with your auto body repair.
That's right, Mark. We have 3 convenient locations, Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin, ready to serve you. Our people are homegrown right here in Middle Tennessee with over 75 years experience. We can help with all your auto body repair needs.
So stop by and see Stan and his team today and tell them Mark sent you, or visit them online at applecollisioncenters.com.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
It's the hits, the cheers, the goals. Who's ready for some hockey in Smashville? Join us at Bridgestone Arena on March 10th and 12th to watch your Nashville Predators take on fierce rivals, the Anaheim Ducks and St. Louis Blues. Single game tickets are available now. Grab yours today at NashvillePredators.com/tickets. Grab your friends and your gold because Smashville is waiting for you. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets to make sure you get a seat. Let's go, Preds.
Parman Tractor and Equipment is your one-stop tractor and equipment solution and Middle Tennessee's Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer. Rent or purchase a track loader, mini excavator, large excavators for your job site, or something in between. Parman is now hiring and seeking qualified candidates for construction equipment truck drivers, service technicians, and more. Apply at ParmanTractor.com or call 615-865-7800. Come be an employee owner with the Parman team, your Middle Tennessee Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer.
Interact with Stillman and Company. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Give me Kirk Cousins right now in Indianapolis. Now, that is not something I thought I would ever say. That's not something I thought anybody would think that they would hear me say. But we need, with the talent we have, just a game manager. And ultimately, I think that is why Jim Irsay and the brass decided to move on. We don't need a quarterback that's going to be sporadic. We don't need a quarterback that's going to try to die on every single play. We need a quarterback that is going to get us in a good position, especially with the amount of money we have to bring in a great left tackle next to Quentin Nelson, like Armstead, who's up right there, with Jonathan Taylor in the back. Bring on a weapon. Hey, Mark Cooper.
Ooh, come on, Coop.
Indianapolis. Anybody else that's in the free agent. And you just need a guy not to give the ball to the other team or make any bonehead decisions. So if we get Kirk Cousins or Jimmy G, and we gave up, what, a 7th-round pick? We got 2 back, and then we got rid of the $30 million contract. Colts won this trade. Way to go, Chris Ballard.
Let's go, Chris.
Way to go, Chris Ballard! Woo! Shout out, T's and P's to Chris Ballard.
T's and P's
Now,
to CB.
Let me say this. I mean, we've been doing a lot of shout-outs to Chris Ballard and Frank Reich over the years when they screw something up and everybody tells us how great they are.
For a couple of people who don't like Frank Reich and Chris Ballard.
So you heard him right there saying, Kirk Cousins, bring me Cousins.
Woo!
Let me just say, before I get into this, because Cousins did statistically have a pretty good year last year, and he is better than a lot of the quarterbacks who are out there, which is a lot to say, but I'm just being honest with you. There are 3 quarterbacks that in the 5 years of the Jared and the GM radio program that Floyd Reese did not like. Like, literally did not like. I mean, like, it was obvious. Joe Flacco.
Yep.
Carson Wentz.
Love it.
Kirk Cousins.
Ooh.
Ian, am I missing anybody?
Not that I can think of. I think that's pretty good list right there.
In fact, Floyd Reese, who knew
Foles,
that if...
maybe Foles.
Oh, yeah, he really didn't like Foles very much.
But not the same amount. Just didn't believe the hype.
Yeah, every time that they talk about it, he's like, well, I like Foles coming out, but this idea that Foles is a starter, I mean, ha, 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 ha. And then, little
he's
did
right.
we all know.
Yeah.
But I say this because, I mean, he called it on Wentz. I mean, everybody was he didn't say this about Goff. He didn't have any beef with Goff. But the moment that Ian and I knew that he was out on Mariota was actually before the Denver game, where they ended up benching him and putting Tannehill in. And it was the Friday before, and we were doing the show live from Oktoberfest, which is very Jared and the GM, event. And we were doing the show on a Friday. It was before they played the Broncos, and Flacco was the quarterback of the Broncos. And for some reason, I don't know why I did topics like this at the time, but the topic was like, who's a better quarterback, Mariota or Flacco?
Oh, you would hate that right now.
Oh, I'd hate that.
Yeah.
But for some reason,
Growth.
I did topics like that. I don't know.
Growth.
But so that was our discussion, and I was like, I mean, clearly Marcus is better than Joe Flacco. And Floyd was like, I don't know.
Oh.
And Ian and I, like,
ding,
on the
ding,
spot.
ding, ding, red flag.
And what you don't understand about Ian, because you didn't experience this, but at one point in time, Ian, like, I don't know if it was because he was afraid to challenge Floyd or if it was because it was literally imprinted in his contract. But Ian had to agree with Floyd on everything. I'm convinced of it. I haven't seen this contract, but I have assumed it.
Maybe Floyd was just right.
I have a hard time believing that. Because the only time Ian got dragged into it was when we were in the middle of an argument, and then he'd be like, Ian! And every time he'd side with Floyd. Sound about right, Ian?
I don't know about every time.
I mean, like 99% of the time. So, anywho, we're doing the show that day, and Floyd's sitting there saying that he thinks that Flacco's better than Mariota. And I'm like, you're done with Marcus. Like, I literally looked at him, and I was just like, you're done with Marcus.
He said it without saying it.
And he was like, no, I didn't say that. I didn't. Because he knows that if he says he's done with Marcus, he knows that, it's going to come up. Former Titans general manager Floyd Reese says he's done with Mariota. Like, he knows how that is. So he was like, no, I didn't say that. That's not what I mean, whatever. And even Ian was like, dude, you hate Flacco. Like, so the fact that you're sitting here saying this and knowing how much you hate Flacco,
it's big.
Like, that tells us how you feel about Mariota. So the 3 quarterbacks that he consistently hated were Cousins, Flacco, and Wentz. And the fact that he's right, and Cousins had a nice little season last year, but they didn't win any games and the coach got fired, makes me think that deep down inside, Cousins still probably stinks. And again, he hated Cousins. I remember when they signed him that all-guaranteed deal, and he was like, that's the stupidest deal in the league.
I mean, they are locked into Kirk Cousins.
Well, this isn't that deal either. They're locked into Cousins on this deal because of that deal.
Mm-hmm.
This is the second deal Cousins is on in Minnesota.
I mean, he's making, what, $45 million this year?
Everything they gave him was guaranteed, which means that there's no way of maneuvering anything. Like, the Titans have a lot. Now they're just like taking it on the chin this year at $45 million with a $35 million fully guaranteed salary. But because Floyd hated Cousins, I'm going to root for the Colts to get Cousins, though I'd rather have them get Garoppolo, though they may have to give up more to get Cousins. So I don't know, but I'm rooting for them to get Garoppolo. And I'm not going to lose my mind if they end up getting Cousins.
Yeah, I really wouldn't lose my mind either way if they got Kirk Cousins. I look at his stats from this past year, and it says, in my mind, less about Kirk Cousins and more about the pass catchers that he's throwing to.
Well, that's because you're a homer.
I mean, Adam Thielen as well.
Yeah, well, he also went to LSU.
No, he did not.
I know, I'm just lying. He went to like Montana State.
I don't know where he went, but he did not go to the Louisiana State University.
Yeah, but you're being a homer.
No, I'm not. He was the rookie of the year. It doesn't matter where he went to
We don't
college.
say this about any of the other quarterbacks. They're like where we say it's just
I
about the receivers.
literally just said, was it Jimmy G who got his team to the NFC Championship? Or was it Brandon Ayuk who went to Arizona State? Or was it George Kittle who, I don't know where he went to school, not LSU? Or was it Debo Samuel?
Where did George Kittle go to school?
I think he went to some, like...
Iowa, I think.
That's right.
He did go to Iowa.
Yeah.
So, no, you just pick at me out being a homer whenever I say an LSU receiver is good because, newsflash, there are a few of them in the league that are good.
Homer. What do we have in the phone
Kirk
lines?
Cousins has good receivers, and I think that's more of a reflection of the receivers rather than Kirk
Driven
Cousins.
by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. What do we have in the text line?
Mike texts in and says the flip side to saying that the 49ers drafted his replacement would be that that Trey Lance could not beat out Jimmy Garoppolo. Also, Shanahan was the play caller in the 28-3 comeback Super Bowl debacle, which as a Patriot fan, I will take.
No, let me say something about Shanahan. Like, this is the thing about being good at stuff. Is, like, if you're good at something, it doesn't mean that you're good at everything about that. For example, Peyton Manning, not a good runner, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
There is something about Shanahan in these end of these games where he stinks. Like, he's a great offensive coach. And I think, like, John Lynch doesn't have, like, a lot of football experience before becoming general manager of the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
And there was, like, this weird rule that we used to laugh about which Floyd had never understood, which is, like, that the way it's structured is they have a 50-50 say between Shanahan and Lynch. And Lynch gets final say on the 53-man roster, but Shanahan gets final say on, like, the 90-man roster. So, like, how do you do that? How is it like, nope, it's my turn before training camp. I get to pick who's on the team, but then after training camp, it's your turn to pick who's on the team.
Do they just do rock, paper, scissors?
I don't know.
Maybe.
But, I mean, I think Shanahan's a really good coach. I just think that he screws up the end of these games. Like, he screwed up the end of the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Like, he screwed up the other Super Bowl. Like, he screwed up the NFC Championship game this year. Like, he screwed up the Cowboy game that they won this year. Like, I think Shanahan kind of screws this up. And I wouldn't disagree with it. But I got to believe that if they're going to invest 3 first-round picks in Trey Lance and Jimmy's going to lose them games actively, then you might as well put Lance out there because if you're going to lose, well, at least he's learning on the job. But you have to put him on the field because you used 3 first-round picks on him.
And I don't know how strong the point is of Trey Lance couldn't beat out Jimmy Garoppolo. Trey Lance didn't play football in 2020.
No, this was their whole plan.
Right.
Well, I take that back. I think their plan was to get to training camp because Jimmy had no guaranteed money, so they could do whatever they wanted with him. Get to training camp, see if Lance was ready. If he was, I think they were going to try to trade him for a first-round pick, but I don't think anybody offered. I think they thought New England was going to turn around and offer the 15th pick in the draft for Garoppolo. So that it was really 2 to move up to number 3, but then they didn't, and they drafted Mac Jones. Like, Belichick was sitting there waiting at 15 for Mac Jones. And I wonder if Belichick's backup plan, if Jones was off the board, because they didn't move up. I wonder if Belichick's backup plan was to turn around and offer the 15th pick to San Francisco for Jimmy Garoppolo.
But I don't think that the 49ers drafted Trey Lance to start immediately.
No, but I think if they were put in that position, they would have done it.
They would have done it, yeah.
And then they would have lost.
But saying that Trey Lance didn't beat out Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't think is a very strong point as to Jimmy Garoppolo being a good quarterback.
Well, it would be like making the argument that Carson Palmer didn't beat out John Kitna. Like, John Kitna turned the Bengals around in the first year. Carson Palmer stood there with the clipboard. And the next year, even though Kitna, I think, was a Pro Bowler, they were like, no, Carson Palmer's going in. Like, that kind of feels like this.
Right.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. The Ducks are in town tonight on ESPN+. Crispy will join us coming up next. We'll get his thoughts. Boy, he had a good take last week. We'll see if he's full of more. That's coming up next right here, Stillman and Company. It's ESPN 1025 The Game.
Hey, this is Phil Forsberg. And this is Smashville.
Forsberg a shot, broken up in front, give it back to Forsberg, and here come the Habs.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 1025 The Game.
Gary Ashton here. I love hearing people say, don't sell without the intel, because it means they're really embracing our message. Now's a great time to sell your home in Nashville, but you need the intel only the Gary Ashton team can provide. Intel that helps you sell your home without any staging or showings, Intel to find your next home so you can sell your current one while the market's hot. Intel to win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity now. Let everyone else get the same information and compete for the same properties, while you get the Intel edge with the Gary Ashton team, the official real estate team for your Tennessee Titans. And if you're looking for a great career, join our team. We added 65 new agents last year, and we want you to join us this year. Remember, don't sell without the Intel. And if you're looking for a great career, the Gary Ashton team wants you in 2022. Call 615-301-1650 or visit GaryAshton.com today.
Join Planet Fitness now through March 16th and get the PF Black Card for zero enrollment and $22.99 a month. You'll enjoy an upgraded experience with tons of perks.
Like access to more than 2,000 locations worldwide?
Yep.
Super soothing hydro massage chairs?
Yes.
Can I bring a friend every time?
Sure.
Can my friend be a horse?
Nay. Sorry. Get the PF Black Card and feel fit-tacular. Zero enrollment, $22.99 a month. Deal ends March 16th. See Club for details.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good. Really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless. Now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
It's Family Leisure's Factory Direct Sale. Family Leisure has truckloads of new model merchandise. Spas as low as $29.99.
Okay.
Family Leisure is getting all the new patio furniture styles, the guaranteed largest selection, and lowest prices in the Mid-South.
That's interesting.
Factory Direct pricing on pools. 24-foot pools starting as low as $29.99 installed. 6 months, same as cash.
Grills, smokers, and grill islands are on sale too.
Even the massage chairs, theater seating, and leather sectionals. That's Family Leisure's Factory Direct Sale. Going on now.
Both locations, Antioch and Franklin.
The Electronic Express tax refund sale is going on now. Get huge savings in every department, including 4K TVs, mattresses, computers and tablets, housewares, smart home, and more. We have all of your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, buy now, pay later with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online with free express delivery on most items. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Tonight, Vanderbilt's bid in the SEC tournament continues.
It's good. Count it. And one. Jordan Wright.
Catch all the action starting at 7 on 93.3 Classic Hits and the Classic Hits app.
Hey, Nashville. It's Mike Greenberg, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
It's kind of crazy. Last week, they lost on Wednesday night to the Seattle Kraken. And when they lost to the Kraken, who Kraken suck. When they lost to the Kraken, I was not happy. And neither was one Terrence Arthur Crisp. He was not happy either. And Crispy got on them, for Crispy, which was very strong. Crispy talking about wanting to win, not just wanting to make the playoffs and getting mad. The team got to do this, got to that. I told Hal on Friday, I was very uninspired with the way the Predators were playing. Then they went out and scored 8 goals. And they won a very exciting, very entertaining game the other night against the Dallas Stars. Tonight they take on the Anaheim Ducks. And as much as I don't care about the Pacific Division, and normally I'd say do that on your own time, it is worth noting that I am rooting heavily for the Predators to finish 4th in the Central Division and then have to go to Calgary and be playing with Calgary and Vegas and Anaheim and maybe Edmonton. And Ian, is there anyone I'm forgetting that the Predators could possibly play out there?
L.A. Did you say the Kings?
I did not.
The Kings.
Are they good this year?
They're in the top 3 in the West.
Ooh, I'd like to play them.
Interesting.
Because they're traditionally not very good. And so, you know what? They've been playing a lot better. Crispy joins us now on the show, Terry Crisp. First of all, Crispy, why are you not here? But more importantly, number 2, how inspired are you after how disappointed we were with last week's game against the Kraken and the 2 wins that have happened, 8-0 and the 2-1 thriller the other night?
Well, I'll tell you what, the Kraken game set me off like a firecracker, so you couldn't talk to me for a couple of days after that one. The San Jose game I loved and enjoyed it, but I was, as a coach, a little apprehensive. 8-0. Would they have their 3rd and 4th goalie stringers in there? The number 1, number 2 were out, and they pulled in another one. So, yeah, we'll take the points. We'll take the goals. We'll take the attaboy pat in the back. But I was very interested to practicing what our next game was going to be against you-know-who, and I was proud of them. That was a hockey game the other night. That was up and down. That's as close as you're going to get to playoff hockey and not being playoff hockey. No room to move, no room in either front of either net. And I thought that Coach Ken Hitchcock was coaching Dallas again, because they come back and they just set up that barrier in front of their net. And they have that little semicircle they put up, and you got to try and break it, try and get puck through to the net. And then if you do, you got to outwork them in front of that. The guys did that. And especially, the best play of the game was when Ben run Forsberg into the boards from behind. And Ekholm went roaring in, the other guys. And as soon as that happened, our guys lit a fire under themselves. They took it right to them. That, to me, was a turning point in the game.
Crispy, I'm glad you brought that up, because one thing I was thinking about, I was talking to Willie about this off the air the other day, which is I feel like for the last couple of years, really starting with that playoff series where they came in here and they just kicked our ass. As far as, like physically, I felt like they just roughed the Predators up. And that the Predators really didn't have much of an answer. And we think we can all remember that play with Jamie Benn and Ryan Ellis in the corner in Game 5 of that playoff series. I mean, it's now been like 3 games in a row that the Predators have played Dallas. And I feel like the Predators have taken the punch to Dallas, whether it's Jeannot or Ekholm. They're not going over there and sending Yossi into the boards with no repercussions. I really like that about this team. They play hard, but I feel like they're not intimidated by teams that are going to try to push them around.
They're not. That's a whole new attitude for us, a whole new that we've been lacking for quite a while. After we sent out to McLeod and McGrattan and all those ones we had here, that were doing it. And then we sort of went through a spell where we didn't have anybody. And I got to be honest, as a coach, when I used to coach, I used to look at the other team's lineup and say, okay, who's in? Ooh, they got the 3 big guys, the tough guy. We're in for a they benched 2 of them. Good, we can play our game now. And now against the Predators, you don't have the luxury of playing your game now. You're going to play our game. And it all goes back to when they brought in Borowiecki and Benning. There were 2 little tough characters in the back end. And then you brought in the herd line that mixes up, and then it rubs off. Now it rubs off on Cunnin, and it rubs off on Tolvin and whoever else is out there. And the rest of the teams know that Ben used to have a field day against Yossi. He used to drive me nuts, and he knew it. I remember the one playoffs when he went by there, our bench laughing at them and saying about, what are you going to do about this, that? Yeah, well, I think Tanner Jeannot had a chat with him. And if you saw the other night when they were nose-to-nose talking, you can always tell when a guy is talking to him and he doesn't want to look at you, that he doesn't want to really hear what you're saying. And that's the effect right now that our team has on teams. Hey, there's lots of tough teams out there, but now we include ourselves as one of them.
Crispy, I was put on the spot yesterday. Somebody asked me, and they said, what do you think, how far do you think the Predators are going to go? Terry Crisp is our guest, by the way. And I was asked, how far do you think the Predators are going to go? And I said, if they can draw into the Pacific Division, and I know as a coach you're going to tell me that, you can only coach who's in front of you. You try to win every game. I get that. But if they draw the Pacific Division with a matchup of Calgary and then the winner of Vegas and L.A., I think they've got a real shot, a legitimate shot to go to the Western Conference Final, even though I hate all that travel back and forth and they won't have home ice at any point, because I think they may be tougher than those teams, and their goaltending may be better than those teams. What I worry about is getting drawn into the Central Division, because all these teams are tough, all these teams are well coached, and quite frankly, Colorado is really good, and maybe the Predators aren't good enough for that kind of firepower, so you hope somebody else takes them out somewhere along the way. I am really keeping track of that. I know that you want to say, hey, you want to finish second or third, but Crispy, I think 4th place is exactly where this team wants to be, and I think that Pacific Division is exactly where they need to be.
And you know what? I, in ways, agree with you, but I always, as a coach, used to have to say publicly, well, yeah, we'd like to play over in that division and meet this team because that's just sort of a kiss of death a lot of times. I do, and I want to bring this out. Calgary, if you want to pronounce it properly, are one of the toughest teams now. They've built their team to come through the run, to make a run all the way through and be tough at it. They got Sutter back coaching. Anytime you go up against a Sutter team, as we all well know, you're going to earn every piece of the ice you get out there. You're going to earn it from that. That's the way Calgary plays. I don't think that Vegas and L.A. are as tough as Calgary physically. They're all good teams, But I think if you're looking for a brute strength team to come at you, Calgary is the one that's going to do it.
Crispy, David Poyle was on a midday show, and they asked him for the umpteenth time about Philip Forsberg, and there was not a very excited tone. In fact, I would categorize it as the opposite of an excited tone from David Poyle when it came to an update on Forsberg. 11 days until the trade deadline. I don't think you can let this guy walk out of here for nothing, or even risk letting this guy walk out of here for nothing. What would it do, though, to the morale of the team and the possibility of what they could do if they end up having to trade him because his demands are too high?
You know what? I'm going to give you a little double-edged answer on that one. The morale of the team would be that we're going to miss him. He's a top-notch player. But I can guarantee you after a week, they settle back down to, okay, who are going to fill in, who's going to pick up the slack, what do we have left? They're professionals. And, yeah, you hate to see your buddy leave. Yes, you hate to see a good buddy leave like that. If it does happen, then it's like every other team. You pick up the pieces, you go to work and do it. And for you saying about David Poyle, David never does tip his hat. David never does get overexcited, over-emotional. All the years we've been listening when I watched him in hockey. And he's probably like the proverbial duck. I always tell my boss, Bob Cole, to be the proverbial duck where on top of the water, you're cruising along nice and smooth, but underneath, you're paddling like you know what.
If you were the coach, now I know that you and Floyd used to love each other because you told him you didn't want to get into personnel matters, and I don't think he liked coaches who liked getting into personnel matters. But if David came to you and said, you're the coach, you're John Hines, and he says, Crispy, I think I'm going to have to make a move with Forsberg here. Are you walking into the office saying, no, do not take my best scorer away from me at this point of the year where these fans in Nashville want results. They want to go deep into the playoffs. They ain't going to be yelling and screaming about you because you've been here 500 years. They're going to be yelling and screaming about me if we don't go far in the playoffs. Do not take this guy away from me. Or would you say, hey, business is business?
You know what? I've been up against that before on the team. And as a coach, I said I need him to win. If we're going to win, I need him now. Then the GM will say to me, yep, we can do that. But, you know, if we're going to lose him, we're going to get nothing for him. And we're still going to have a great big hole. Whereas if we do move him, we can fill up some of that hole and what you're going to do. So, and then you have to really, really be honest with your GM and him with you. Are you a legit team? Are you a legit team that can take a run for the cup? Not to make playoffs, but to take a run at the cup to move a guy like Philip Forsberg. Because nobody is going to give you a Philip Forsberg in return. How do you know what they're going to say? Draft picks, that's like a crapshoot. Draft picks are always a crapshoot. You're going to get one or not. We all know that. So with Forsberg, I'm probably leaning towards the fact that Hines would sure love to keep him. David Poyle would probably love to keep him. But I've heard you say this, too, many, many times, Stiller, that the agent for Forsberg and Forsberg have their own minds. And they do have the upper hand because no matter what happens in the negotiations, et cetera, Forsberg is going to get his money, whether it's here or whether it's another team or whatever, and whatever. It's just a matter of, can we settle him here that it's worthwhile, and do he and his fiance and whatnot, do they like it here? That all goes into it. And I'm hoping that Forsberg stays here. If you're asking me, I hope Forsberg stays here.
There you go. Terry Crisp, as always, joining us in the program. No Crispy tonight because the game's on ESPN+. And I wonder if Crispy's going to be able to watch the game if he... Actually, you know what? You probably watch all the other games on ESPN+, so you probably know exactly how to get there. But the game tonight, no Crispy on the broadcast. I think a lot of people are sad. I mean, we're coming down the home stretch of your career here, Crispy.
Look for me in the concourse tonight. I'll be around talking with some people. I get a chance to now, which I can't do, is socialize. Talk to the little kids. I love the children coming through there with their kids and their jerseys on, and talking to the people, third generation that started with me and were originals. So if you see me tonight, don't be afraid to talk to me.
There you go. Terrence Arthur Crisp, as always, joining us on the program. Crispy, appreciate it. Appreciate you as always.
Hey, my pleasure. You know that anytime. And we will see you all at the rink, and stay safe, guys.
All right. Terry Crisp joining us on the show. So Crispy just said something that I'm not sure I completely agree with, talking about David Poyle and whether or not that he's tipping his hand or tips his hand or whatever, I've got a thought that I want to get to on that. And then we got a story, too, that's got some tea that I want to get to as well. Hey, go to theGameNashville.com/deals to check out Nashville's best deals. Right now, there are deals for everything from half off the Woodhouse Spa, half off dining at the Mainstay and Hard Rock Cafe, half off Brooklyn Bowl, plus $50 free with the purchase of $100 in downtown dollars. Check out all of Nashville's best deals now at theGameNashville.com/deals.
This is Tanner Janot, and this is Smashville.
And now down the right wing side, Tanner Janot. His shot, he scored! Tanner Janot with the shot!
This is the flagship of the Nashville Predators Radio Network. ESPN 1025, The Game.
Saving money feels pretty good. Allstate. Better protection costs a whole lot less. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
Hey folks, Joe Rexrode here for FanDuel Sportsbook, talking Players Championship. It's back. One of the best fields in golf. Now you can take a shot at the Island Green with FanDuel Sportsbook because new customers get 30-1 odds on defending champ Justin Thomas, two-time major winner Colin Morikawa, or Olympic gold medalist Xander Schauffele to make the cut at the Players. That's right. If any of those players make the cut at TPC Sawgrass, you win $150 on a $5 bet. That is pretty sweet. And of course, there's a lot of other things that you can do with the Players Championship. Always a lot of things you can do with any game or event on FanDuel Sportsbook. Step up to the tee, take a swing. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app with promo code Joe102. Get those 30-1 odds on JT, Colin, or Xander to make the cut at the Players. Again, Joe102, so they know I sent you. FanDuel Sportsbook is the official betting operator of the PGA Tour. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. New users only, must wager in designated offer market. Max bet $5. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 800-889-9789.
Get that luxury watch you've always dreamed of this weekend at Genesis Diamonds. Genesis is hosting a spectacular 3-day event featuring a huge selection of pre-owned Rolex watches. Yes, these are the timepieces you can't find anywhere, but Genesis has them. Daytonas, Submariners, Pepsis, Datejust, Sky Dwellers, and more. Come pick out your luxury pre-owned Rolex and get up to $3,000 in Genesis gift cards, plus 60-month special financing. Our buyers are on site for this event, so if you already own a Rolex and want to sell it, you'll get top dollar. Or trade yours for a different model. All Genesis luxury pre-owned Rolexes are hand-selected and rigorously inspected in pristine condition, and our selection has never been better. Don't miss this special pre-owned Rolex buy, sell, trade event at Genesis Diamonds this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes. Both locations, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
You know when you're getting a good deal and when you're getting ripped off. And big brand razors are not a good deal. In fact, Big Razor spends millions on marketing to make you believe they've got something special. They don't, but you've been paying for it anyway. Harry's was founded to cut the crap and give you a square deal, a quality shave at a fair price. And to back it up, they've got a no-risk offer for you. Go to harrys.com and get their starter set. It includes a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, foaming shave gel with aloe, and a travel cover. It's a $13 value, all for just $3 when you use promo code 4070 at checkout. It's 100% satisfaction guaranteed. If you don't love it, no biggie. If you do, then refill blades start as low as $2. So there's no gotcha. Remember, harrys.com and enter promo code 4070 at checkout. That's promo code 4070 at checkout.
Sometimes their glass is half full.
That was unbelievable. It was the best NFL draft they've ever had.
Sometimes glass half empty.
What are we getting ourselves into here? Tough game.
And sometimes it's all about the numbers.
One win, and they've gone on this streak, and now they're at 500.
Hang out with Darren, Donick, and Chase from 10 to 2 during your workday. Presented by Curacion CBD on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
Stillman and Company is on. Delivered by TriStar Moving.
Nothing new. I mean, we've talked to Philip and his agency. We're going to talk to them again this week. Again, it's business as normal. I'm not trying to trade him. I'm trying to sign him. Just keep at it here. I hope I have some good news to tell you on a show sometime in the next couple of weeks, obviously. But nothing new to share. Sorry about that.
There you go. That was David Boyle's update on the Philip Forsberg negotiations. Good Lord. I mean, be grumpier. I mean, seriously.
it goes along with the John Hines comment. I think it was in Preds Insiders. Like, he's going to go switch back and forth to see who asked me about Philip Forsberg.
No. That was Boyle who said that.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I thought it was John Hines.
No. It was Boyle who said that. Plus, Hines is so far out of that. Like, that's straight up Boyle and, the negotiations. But, honestly, be grumpier. You guys ask me about this every week, and I don't have anything new to say, and I'm talking with the agent, and I hope to get him signed, and you got 11 days. You got 11 days. I got to tell you this. I don't know what's going to happen, but the Predators have handled this, in my opinion. Unless they sign him to a 5-year deal at $5 million per year, which we know is just not going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
But unless they work a deal that is unbelievable, the Predators have gotten their hats handed to them on this. Unless they work out a trade. But then you've already hyped everybody up for the season. And so the team is good enough. The team is going to make the playoffs. And they've trained people, which is a very good job by the NHL, in training people that as long as your team gets into the playoffs, you can sell a false hope that even if you're not good enough, that you can go all the way to the cup. And because it's happened twice before, people will buy into that narrative, and we'll have to deal with that when they draw Colorado or whatever in the playoffs, and we're going to pick the Avs in 5 games, and people are going to just cry because, the LA Kings did it in 2012, and so this team can do it too. And I get it. But, I mean, the idea coming into the season was either you sign him or you got to trade him because you can't let him get hurt. And then they didn't do either. And then it was you're going to have to trade him because you know what he is, and now he's playing really well, and so he's going to, pump up his value. And now it's if you trade him, everybody's going to look at you, cross your arms, and be like, what the hell? This team's supposed to be trying to compete for the playoffs, and then you turn around and trade him. But if he wants too much and you can't afford to give it to him, and you can't take that risk, then what do you do? So the Predators have backed themselves into a self-made corner. And Crispy was talking on the show about how David Poile never tips his cap, and I just don't believe that. I think a total tipped cap was right there. That is, Poile is frustrated because he thought maybe they were making a little bit of progress when he got all excited that Darren and Willie had to throw away whatever it was they were going to talk about because they were so excited because of how excited Poile was on their show a couple of weeks ago about talking about the extension. And now it's, you guys are going to ask me all the time. I don't have an update. I don't know. We're working through it with the agent. We'll see where it goes from here. I want to sign him. I don't want to trade him. Going with us, but hopefully maybe I'll come on the show and have a better answer for you. And it's almost dude, we get it. We get it. But I got to tell you, I don't think this ends well for the Predators.
Why?
Because either they're going to sign him to a deal that they really freaking don't want to sign him to. They're going to sign him to a deal that if I come up to them in
long
October,
term and a ton of money.
Oh, and no trade protections and things like that. Treating him like a big boy forward that he is not. But
question.
Nope. But the bigger issue here is if you trade him. I mean, I asked Crispy, I'm like, what do you do with the morale of the team? Well, you give it a couple days and then you right back to it. I don't think so.
I don't know if that works that way.
I don't think so. So I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, honestly, I don't know what they're going to do. They have been put over the barrel by Philip Forsberg. And we saw Ryan Johansson put him over the barrel a couple years ago, and look how that's worked out. And I know Johansson's playing better now than he has before, but you would get out of that contract if you could. So, I mean, it is what it is. But I just...
A situation where it's either no trade clause and less money or long contract and a lot of money.
I mean, you can't give him a no movement clause. He's the one player who... and this is what the Predators got themselves into on the Yossi thing. So, and I truly believe this, which is that you can say we don't do no movement clauses. You can say that. But once you start giving them out, you can't say that anymore. And they gave one to Yossi. Now, they gave one to Pekka, but it was well, he's the goalie.
He's
so
Pekka.
But not even that. He's the goalie. You can say that because nobody else can say, well, I deserve because they gave one to Yossi, and their whole philosophy is that it's Yossi. To your point about, well, he's Pekka. Well, they're saying, well, he's Yossi. Well, guess what? He don't care. So what? I'm not important?
It's a fair point.
And that's what's happened
Other
here.
players are going to look at that and say, I want that too.
That's what's happened. So I don't know what's going to happen, but for a team that, is going to make the playoffs and we should be excited and there's games, and we are, this is the giant elephant in the room that's like, what are you going to do here? And I'm not sure there's a satisfactory outcome. And I'm getting tired of this with the Predators, where I feel like there are obvious decisions that have to be made, and they just don't make them. They had Craig Smith and Mikhail Granlund before the deadline in 2020. They should have traded them. I don't care if it was thirds and fourths. I mean, those are players. Pekka was an 8th-round pick. Doesn't even exist anymore. You got to do it. And they didn't do it. And then last year, they didn't do it. And then, this year, I don't know what they're going to do. But this just keeps coming where it's like, at some point you got to smell the coffee. Remember how excited I got when the guy in St. Louis put out there that they were shopping him?
Yeah.
I mean, I freaking was excited because I'm like, that is some bold thinking. And unfortunately, I just don't think that they...
But I think shopping him is something that is absolutely positively necessary to do. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to get shipped out.
Do you think they did it, though?
Depends on what you mean by shopping.
See, I don't.
It depends on what you mean by shopping. Do you think David Quayle picked up the phone if the Maple Leafs called? Yeah, probably so. But I don't think that they were actively looking for a trade partner.
I mean, when a guy puts out there actively shopping, that means you're calling teams and saying, what would you give us?
I don't know. I don't think they're doing that.
And I don't think they did that. I do not think...
I think they want to keep Philip Forsberg.
I don't think they're going to trade him.
I don't think so either.
Which is unfortunate because...
But then again, the other side of it is they trade him and then they look for the next Philip Forsberg.
Yeah, but I mean, again, look, I mean, players like that you can't just go to Milwaukee and get a player like that. I understand that. But he ain't that great. I mean, he's not, he was an all-star like 7 years ago.
And I think that's where a lot of it gets misconstrued, at least amongst Predator fans, is they say, okay, Philip Forsberg is an elite forward. No, he's your forward. That doesn't necessarily make him elite.
Yeah, I mean, I put out a poll today. Like how many people think that Ryan Tannehill that the Titans can win the Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill? Or like what,
Yeah.
I think it was a very basic question. Like, do you think the Titans can win the Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill? 59% say yes. You take that anywhere outside of here, and they're going to laugh you out of the building.
Yeah, do you think that you can win a Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill because he's a good quarterback or because he's your quarterback?
Of course it's because he's your quarterback. But this is the position the Predators have put themselves in. And honestly... this was so avoidable, but they just kept pushing it down the road. They just kept saying, okay, we don't have to get it figured out by the start of the season. We don't have to get it figured out by the start of camp. We don't have to get started out by this. And they just keep pushing it on down, and they think that the other side's going to buckle. And because, I mean, when Forsberg walked in to open the year and was like, well, I got to play out my contract, right?
Yeah, that's what you do.
This freaking guy is going for the bank. So
I don't blame him. Why wouldn't he?
This is what you got to do because you got 11 days. You got to tell him you got to take the deal. You're out of here. And do you really want to go? Because if you want to go to the market and this is your shot at a contract and you want to go hit the big time, you want to go do this, okay. Good luck to you. Enjoy Edmonton. Enjoy Calgary. Enjoy Vancouver. Enjoy some city that doesn't even really care about hockey. Enjoy wherever. And enjoy New York. Enjoy that when you go out there and don't score for 3 weeks. See how that goes. So that's the position the Predators have put themselves in, and I'm not feeling good about it. And it's like almost like catch-22. If they sign them, it's probably going to be for too much money or it's going to be too much. And if they trade them, like, what are you saying about the season? And I hate that. That makes me uncomfortable. So we'll monitor that as it goes along. 615-737-1025. Stephen A. Smith has a message that Titan fans, you got to hear, you got to understand. That is next. Stillman and Company. It's ESPN 105 The Game.
Take us wherever you may go.
There are 2 guys on my untouchable list.
Tune us in anywhere, anytime.
Every team's got those. That's my point.
Just search The Game Nashville in your app store and download today. And keep it locked on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hey guys, it's the new year. Are you still struggling with erectile dysfunction? I've yet to meet anyone that enjoys timing those intimate moments around a pill. Well, now you don't have to. The advanced wave technology at Hillside Medical has been shown by Cambridge University and the Cleveland Clinic to restore and even regrow blood vessels. It can improve circulation and eliminate erectile dysfunction. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED, call us in the next 2 minutes and you'll receive a consultation, assessment, and blood flow ultrasound free. Plus, a special gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. You're going to love that. Trust me. This is a $600 value, free to callers now. 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Guys, get rid of your ED and get that spark back. Call Hillside Medical now to qualify. 615-576-5000.
Attorney Joe Cordell.
Think back to a time when you've had to contend with a difficult challenge in your life, but that, in the end, came out okay. I'm willing to bet that in almost all those cases, you had someone alongside you that you trusted, whether the challenge related to a career change, a health crisis, or even the death of a loved one. But if the challenge is divorce, and you're a guy, there's a good chance that your trusted friend for all life's challenges to date has been your spouse, whom the legal system now terms the opposing party. This is why guys notoriously are prone to feeling isolated and alone during the divorce process. The good news is you don't have to go through this alone. Let Cordell and Cordell be the partner that you can count on through the challenges of divorce. Call us at 866-DADS-LAW or visit CordellCordell.com. You are not alone.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell and Cordell's Nashville area attorneys. 866-DADS-LAW, 810 Crescent Center Drive, Suite 160, Franklin, Tennessee, 37067. CordellCordell.com.
Hey, Darren McFarland here. I want to tell you about this new social sports betting app I've been loving called Wager, W-A-G-R. Rather than betting against the house, Wager lets you bet with other people in Tennessee. It can be your friends, coworkers, or even me. As a special promo for ESPN 1025 The Game listeners, if you're over 21, go to wager.me/DMAC, and you'll get free wagers that you can use to challenge me. That's WAGR.me/DMAC. Join me and challenge your community, not the house. Please play responsibly. Call 1-800-889-9789 for help.
Zines First is the official sign company for 1025 The Game. Go to sfnash.com.
Dirty exterior? Don't scrub it. Wet it and forget it. Wet and Forget, the easy outdoor cleaner. Wet and Forget works over time with Mother Nature to eliminate unsightly black and green stains on the exterior of your home with no scrubbing, power washing, or bleach. Use Wet and Forget on all your outdoor surfaces, including decks, siding, roofs, and patios. Wet and Forget's available in a concentrate or extreme reach hose end. Purchase Wet and Forget in store or online at Lowe's, Menards, Ace, or Walmart.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, with Stillman and Company.
Surprise, surprise!
I write down what was good, what was bad.
Afternoons from 2 to 6.
On ESPN.
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. ESPN 1025 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry, live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. So, what I'm going to say is going to sound very 8th grade-ish. Is that okay?
Sure. We love 8th grade.
So, sometimes when you're not the popular kid in school, you have to understand what it is everybody else thinks of you. Not what you think of you, but what everybody else thinks of you. Sometimes self-awareness is a good thing. Sometimes other people's opinions of you are actually important, right? Like if you never brush your teeth and everybody thinks that your breath smells, like, you know, maybe
That's constructive criticism.
you need to learn that you need to go brush your teeth. So, the Denver Broncos have traded for Russell Wilson. And because of that now, you look at the Super Bowl odds and everything else, and everybody is telling us that the Denver Broncos could be Super Bowl contenders, which is something, by the way, that I don't necessarily believe.
I don't think I believe it either.
But, I got to tell you, Titan fans don't want to hear it when it comes to their spot as a potential contender. Because if you look at the AFC, and the way that we always do this is we always take the teams that were good last year and we say, okay, who does what in free agency, who does what in the draft. So, okay, that team added a good player, so bump them up. Or that team, Seattle got rid of a quarter. I had Seattle going to the Super Bowl last year. They're obviously probably not going to the Super Bowl this upcoming season. So go ahead and knock them down a little bit, whatever. But I say this because Titan fans think the Titans are contenders in the AFC, right?
Yes.
Nobody thinks the Titans are contenders. Stephen A. Smith, after the Broncos acquired Russell Wilson, was discussing the contenders in the AFC for the Super Bowl that he would put ahead of the Broncos, and he explains why the Titans aren't there.
I think you got to look at Denver right now, and you got to say, hey, excuse me, this is a legit Super Bowl contender because it's really about Kansas City. It's really about Tennessee. It's really about Buffalo. In Buffalo, obviously, they got their stuff together. They just got to get over the hump with Kansas City. As long as Tennessee has Ryan Tannehill as their quarterback, don't tell me they're a lock. So it's really about Kansas City, Buffalo, and now the Denver Broncos to me.
So he's taking them out. He's like, it's really about Tennessee. And you hear in the background now, as long as they got Ryan Tannehill at quarterback, and you hear Mad Dog in the background.
They're not winning.
They're not winning. They're not winning. They're not winning. And you hear Dog in the background on with Stephen A. Smith. And I'm telling you, folks, everybody in America thinks that the Tennessee Titans are going to be an okay team this year. They think Derrick Henry is a bad dude at running back. They think A.J. Brown is a great wide receiver. They got all the love for the defense. They got 9 sacks in a playoff game. They think all these things about the Titans. They think Vrabel's coach of the year. They think they're just the cat's meow, except Ryan Tannehill is the quarterback. And I just wish people understood that. And I talked about this in the last segment that we ran a poll on Twitter today. And you can still vote on it at Jared Stillman. But we ran a poll on Twitter, and that is, do you think the Titans can win the Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill? Which I have said that the answer to is no. I do not think that you can win the Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill. And 59% of the people think that you can win the Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill. And I think the thing, now I'm not saying that because Stephen A. says you can't win the Super Bowl, because I know the text line's going to get flooded with.
Yeah,
I
don't
like
care what
Stephen
Stephen A.
A.
has to say.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the bigger picture here is that I think people are starting to convince themselves. And I think Derek Mason is probably a good example of this. But I feel like people are starting to kind of convince themselves that, you know what? My team, the Titans, they're every bit as good as all these other teams, and people just don't know. They just don't know. They just don't respect us. They just don't this. They just don't that. Well, they love your coach. They love your running back. They love your wide receiver. They love your defense. They got nothing against the Titans. Like, they respect the Titans. But they're not going to consider you a contender for the Super Bowl because you got Ryan Tannehill as your quarterback. And this is why I've been so adamant about the idea of just give me like another option. Obviously, I would much rather have Aaron Rodgers. I would much rather have Russell Wilson. I would much rather have like an elite level quarterback. But now I'm like, just give me another option. Give me Desmond Ridder in the first round who can be on the bench so that if Tannehill goes into one of these playoff games and has a meltdown in the middle of it, like you can take him out of the game and put somebody else in there. And it's like Titan fans, after the Cincinnati game was over, I felt like 90% of Titan fans were like, you're right, Jared. Get this guy out of here. And instead, since then, it's been getting lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. And now all I ever hear is people that say like, Jared, all you do is sit there and badmouth Ryan Tannehill. You don't like Ryan Tannehill. You don't this, that, the other. And the reality for me is I'm just trying to tell you guys, nobody thinks that you can compete at the level that you want to compete at, the level that doesn't come around very often, that we had to live through the Ken Wisenhunt years in order to get to the Titans at some point where we could sit there and talk about the Super Bowl. And we did it. And we did it for a whole month with the caveat of if, and then Tannehill blew it. And don't let people confuse this. And I got to give Stephen A. credit because a lot of people have talked themselves into Tannehill, even nationally. I feel like there's some people that have talked themselves into Tannehill. Mm-hmm. It was one bad game. All of his players were hurt. All the things that they've been saying, whatever. But that's just not the reality. The reality is Ryan Tannehill's just not good enough. And as Mad Dog said in the background, you can't win with him. So everybody is going to dismiss the Titans. And I think it is warranted for everybody out there to dismiss the Titans as potential Super Bowl contenders with Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. I hope I'm wrong on it because it looks like they're not moving off of him. But, I mean, it's just such a shame to have such a good team and to be sitting here on March 10th and just kind of knowing deep down inside. And I think this is why Titan fans get so worked up when it comes to me talking about this. To know deep down inside on March 10th that, like, unless all of the stars align, it's just not going to work.
It's going to be incredibly difficult. And it's going to be incredibly difficult to think that the end result of 2022 will be that much different if you're not making bold changes. But I always say that whenever you look back on things, you probably look back on just the good stuff. Like college, for example. I'll look back and say, man, if I could go back, and then I start to think about the studying and the late nights and the hard tests, then I'm like, maybe not. Maybe I'm good.
Do you study that much?
Yeah.
Really?
I was pretty busy. I had a couple jobs. I was a president of my sorority. I took 18 hours one semester. I had a lot going on in college.
I just never, tried that hard in college.
Well, we both ended up in the same place, so I guess that shows that I didn't really need to study that hard. But to that point, you always look back on things and remember the good and just totally forget about the bad.
Oh, dude, it's why people get back together all the time with people they've already broken up with.
Because they think, oh my gosh, what's his face to me? No, he really wasn't. Nope, he hooked up with your roommate. But you forget about the bad stuff. And then you get back together and I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I forgot that you're the worst. But it's the same thing, I think, with Titans fans and Ryan Tannehill. They look back and say, well, the Titans beat the Chiefs and the Bills. This was a great, fun season. The Titans had the number 1 seed in the AFC. Clearly, Ryan Tannehill can't be that bad. And they totally forget about the fact that he threw away the Pittsburgh game.
And then he hooked up with your roommate.
Ryan Tannehill hooked up with your roommate against the Cincinnati Bengals. You forget about the bad stuff because you look back on the good stuff. And I think that's what people are doing with Ryan Tannehill. We heard D-May say, well, you think Josh Allen's the best quarterback in the AFC? Well, Ryan Tannehill beat him. No, he didn't.
Oh, my God.
Derrick Henry and Jeffrey Simmons beat them by a game of inches.
Remember Joe Rexrode's take for that Bills game was like, Tannehill was 9-9 in the fourth quarter, couldn't have done it without him. I'm like, dude, he was freaking awful for 3
He was awful
in that game.
So you look back on the good stuff, you forget the bad, and I think that's what people are doing with Ryan Tannehill. Sure, you can win a Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill. They won plenty of games with Ryan Tannehill.
You know what gets me?
What?
Is Joe Rexrode's. Can you win a Super Bowl with Tannehill?
Sure, you can.
Can you win a Super Bowl?
Yeah, you can, but will you? Are you going to bet money on it?
But
no.
Really? No, you can't win a Super Bowl with Tannehill. And that's what Stephen A's trying to tell you. And you people will not listen because you don't want to admit the truth. That's the truth. I heard somebody today ask me, they said, so are you going to be doing this for like 10 months of just being like, can't win the Super Bowl with Tannehill, can't win the Super Bowl with Tannehill, can't win the Super Bowl with Tannehill. And you know what I told them? I said this. I go, here's the thing. If I were to sit here today and say, okay, I think everybody gets it that I don't think you win the Super Bowl with Tannehill, whatever, let's move on and talk about other things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then when we start talking about, are the Titans Super Bowl contenders, people be like, you can't say they are because you said that you don't believe in Tannehill, so nobody cares what you think about free agency or the draft anyways. Wow. It's like I can't win.
Yeah.
So either I can be consistent with how I feel, which is exactly how I felt when I walked out and said, I went to the game with 3 people. Like a buddy I went to the game with, and then my friend and his wife, who's also my friend. And we walked out of the stadium. Or I take that back, not we. When the ball went through the uprights, I just walked right down and right back into the club level and right down the escalator and right out the stadium. Like, it wasn't even like hey, we had a good time at the game. Like, it's good to see you. Like, whatever. Like, it wasn't like that. It was just like, gone.
I texted you after the game.
I was done.
And when you texted me back, I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel angst. I just felt pure and utter depression.
Yeah, I took the Chiefs.
Via text.
It was just Tannehill. So, like, the feeling I felt when I walked out of that stadium, like, hey, shout out to Jim Irsay because he decided that he couldn't do his quarterback anymore, and he got him out of there. Now, what are they going to do as far as that's going?
That's a good question.
I don't know what's next. But, again, like, everybody's trying to tell you that you are not a contender. Why are you not a contender? It's not because they hate you. It's not because Nashville is a small market, because, by the way, Nashville is a bigger market than Kansas City. It's a bigger market than Buffalo. It's a bigger market than Cincinnati. It's definitely not a bigger market than Denver. But, like, it's the Titans are not like this small market. We don't want to talk about the Titans. It is because nobody takes you seriously with him as quarterback. And Stephen A. just being like, thinking about who are the good teams. Cincinnati, Kansas City, Buffalo, Tennessee. Well, hold on, not Tennessee because they got Ryan Tannehill.
Can't win with him.
You can't win with him. You got to understand that. I just hope people take that, the right way and understand it. I'm guessing that they probably haven't changed their opinions on it, though. Let's take your phones. 615-737-1025. Here's a question I'm going to ask. Is Stephen A. right or wrong? I think it's fair that Stephen A. is sitting there talking about the Titans and talking about, the fact that the Broncos are better Super Bowl contenders than the Titans and saying, because of Ryan Tannehill, that they're not. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025 here on the program. Hey, let me tell you about my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. The Players' Championship is back with one of the best fields in golf, and now you can take a shot at the Island Green with FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get 30-1 odds on defending champ Justin Thomas, two-time major winner Colin
Morikawa,
or Olympic gold medalist Xander Schauffele to make the cut at the Players. That's right. If any of those players make the cut at TPC Sawgrass, you win $150 on a $5 bet. I think they're all going to make the cut, but I definitely think Justin Thomas is going to make the cut. So roll with that. There's no better time to get in on the action with FanDuel Sportsbook. So step up to the tee and take a swing at betting the Players' Championship. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app with the promo code JGM to get 30-1 odds on JT, Colin, or Xander to make the cut at the Players' Championship. Sign up with promo code JGM so they know that I sent you. FanDuel Sportsbook, official betting operator of the PGA Tour. 21 and older in President Tennessee. New users only must wager on a designated offer market. Max bet $5. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
Every Friday at 8:30 on Robbie and Rex Show, we talk with the legend, Terry Chris, about all things Nashville Predators, presented by Copper Branch on ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Join Planet Fitness now through March 16th and get the PF Black Card for zero enrollment and $22.99 a month. You'll enjoy an upgraded experience with tons of perks.
Like access to more than 2,000 locations worldwide?
Yep.
Super soothing hydro massage chairs?
Yes.
Can I bring a friend every time?
Sure.
Can my friend be a horse?
Nay. Sorry. Get the PF Black Card and feel fit-tacular. Zero enrollment, $22.99 a month. Deal ends March 16th. See Club for details.
My crusade for the perfect pizza crust has led me here, pining over a backyard wood-fired oven. But how do I bake this build into my budget? Where can I get some solid guidance on my finances? Who can help me understand if I have the dough for this?
A little financial advice. At Regions, we know that's important because your Life Green checking account comes with Greenprint, financial planning with a banker who will help you create a personal budget and live in the moment. Make your appointment at regions.com/Greenprint. Regions Bank, member FDIC.
It's Family Leisure's Factory Direct Sale.
Which factory? From where?
Family Leisure has truckloads of new model merchandise from all their factories arriving daily.
Really? Like what?
Well, spas for one. All the new model spas are here and on sale from Artesian, Viking, and Bimini Spas. Spas as low as $29.99.
Okay.
Family Leisure is getting all the new patio furniture styles. Hannah Mint, Tropitone, and Woodard are on sale. And there are still a lot of floor models left to sell at ridiculous prices. The guaranteed largest selection and lowest prices in the Mid-South.
Now that's interesting.
Family Leisure has factory direct pricing on pools. 24-foot pools starting as low as $29.99 installed. And solid wood slate pool tables are only $14.99 as well.
That means the grills, smokers, and grill islands are on sale too.
Of course. Family Leisure even has the new 24-lamp wolf tanning beds on sale for $26.99.
Even the massage chairs, theater seating, and leather sectionals are on sale.
That's right. That's Family Leisure's factory direct sale going on now.
Both locations, Antioch and Franklin.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Stillman and Company on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
Can I get that Stephen A. Smith clip one more time just as we, let in new audience if you missed it earlier today, or this was actually, I think it was yesterday. Stephen A. Smith talking about, are the Broncos Super Bowl contenders? Are they Super Bowl contenders? And does not have nice things to say about the Titans.
I think you got to look at Denver right now, and you got to say, hey, excuse me, this is a legit Super Bowl contender because it's really about Kansas City. It's really about Tennessee. It's really about Buffalo. In Buffalo, obviously, they got their stuff together. They just got to get over the hump with Kansas City. As long as Tennessee has Ryan Tannehill as their quarterback, don't tell me they're a lock. So it's really about Kansas City, Buffalo, and now the Denver Broncos to me.
So do you think the Broncos are better Super Bowl contenders because they got Russell Wilson and the Titans don't?
See, I think that's really interesting, and I think it depends on how much you value the quarterback position. Because we look at the reigning Super Bowl champions, Los Angeles Rams. I don't think Matthew Stafford is any sort of elite quarterback, but they have really good pieces around him, and Matthew Stafford is good enough that he doesn't throw the ball away in playoff games. And
Although he tried.
He tried. Russell Wilson, on the other hand, he's a better quarterback than Matthew Stafford, but he doesn't have the weapons that Matthew Stafford had in Los Angeles. So honestly, I think the Titans are better prepared to win the Super Bowl than Denver is with Russell Wilson.
So I have a couple thoughts on this. Number one, I wouldn't even think about the Stafford thing because the Rams had been to a Super Bowl with Jared Goff. And
I'm talking about what's around him.
No, for sure. But the team last year, before they even had Stafford, when they had John Wolford as quarterback and Jared Goff playing musical quarterback, they got the divisional round of the playoffs, lost to the Packers in Green Bay. Like, no harm there. Like, that's not a bad team.
No.
Denver's not sniffing the playoffs. They haven't sniffed the playoffs for like 4 years since Peyton left. And not only that, when you go out and get, like, to compare it to Brady at Tampa or Manning the first time to Denver, which, and I said this last night on Sirius because I think people in Denver, no matter how hard they try to stress to themselves that, you know, there's only one Peyton Manning and Russell Wilson's his own guy and he's not the same as Peyton Manning. I think there's a little part of me that thinks that those people are always going to convince themselves that they don't think a way that they do think, which is this just like Peyton when we got Peyton. But unfortunately, Russ, and I like Russ, but he ain't Peyton. I mean, Peyton's probably top 4 quarterback of all time. Like, he ain't Peyton. He ain't Brady.
And Russell Wilson is a fringe Hall of Famer.
Right, a fringe Hall of Famer. Like, no All-Pros, no MVPs, like nothing.
He's not a bad quarterback.
No,
he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
He's going to end up in the Hall of Fame. But, you know, you always got to remember, you know, that he's, again, we're talking about Peyton. You know,
it's Peyton freaking Manning.
And so I think that the reason why I would say the Titans are better contenders than the Broncos is because I do believe in continuity in the NFL. Though I do think the Broncos will be better. But I think that the division for the Broncos is so much harder that there's no guarantee that they're going to get to the playoffs. Whereas the Titans, I mean, Indianapolis doesn't even have a quarterback. So unless Jacksonville with Doug Peterson explodes, and they still have, I was talking to somebody about this last night, and they were like, well, they still have Trent Baalke. So at the end of the day, he's going to screw it up. And I hope that's true. I'm not banking on it, but I hope. So, like, unless Trevor Lawrence pops, you're almost guaranteed to make the playoffs this year. And you're already in, and Denver's got to find their way into the playoffs, and you're going to get a game at home. Now, do I think you're going to go to the Super Bowl? No, I don't. But I think that it's going to be harder for those AFC West teams. The way I would rank it right now in the AFC is I would rank it Buffalo number 1, and this is on likelihood to get to the Super Bowl. Buffalo number 1, Cincinnati number 2 because...
Over Kansas City?
Yes. Cincinnati number 2 because Cincinnati's got cap space, they got Joe Burrow, and they're not playing in that division that is just freaking murderer's row.
Yeah, it is murderer's row.
I would go Cincinnati number 2. And then tied for 3rd and 4th is Kansas City and Tennessee. Only because Kansas City, I think they've gotten a little lazy over the last couple of years. They certainly don't feel like the same team that they were before. And then the Titans, you know, because they've got an easier road to get to the playoffs than the Chiefs. But I certainly think the Chiefs are a better team. Let's go to your phones. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, and our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. What reaction do we have to Stephen A's rant?
Henry texts in and says, yes, you can win a Super Bowl with Tannehill with the Titans' defense that they have, but Tannehill will not get them to the Super Bowl. That's the problem.
See, I don't even believe that. I said this yesterday, and I still believe this. I think Tannehill maxed out the credit card getting the Titans to the AFC Championship game. Like somebody said to me today, you know, like, why can't Tannehill be, you know, what he was in 2019 and 2020? And it's like, well, what Tannehill was in 2019 and 2020 was not enough to get you over the hump. Here's what I said to somebody today. That was kind of like, you know, why is Tannehill more likely? Because I'm worried Tannehill's going to be like Brad Johnson, you know, in 2004. He won the Super Bowl in 2002. They weren't very good in 2003. He started 4 games in 2004, and by that point, Tampa Bay was like, get Brad Johnson out of there.
Right.
And somebody asked me, why does he have to be like this version, not the other version? And I said this. Opinion is that Tannehill is soft. Not physically soft, and I think he'll play through an injury, but I think the dysfunction at the beginning of the year totally shocked him, and he turtled. And it turned into quicksand where the harder he tried to get out, the worse it got. And it culminated in a game where he went full-on nuclear at the worst possible time, similar to the Pittsburgh game this year. Everybody felt bad for him after the Bengals game, and I'm sure that he's a great guy, but the reason they felt bad for him was because they knew that the truth about Tannehill. Like, that was where I think, like, hey, nobody feels worse than Ryan, which is really like we feel bad for Ryan. But it's like we feel bad for Ryan because we know he's not good enough.
We feel bad for Ryan. We also feel bad for ourselves.
Yes.
Because we played a good enough game to be able to get to the AFC Championship, and we didn't.
And not a cover that, no, Ryan didn't blow the game. Like, they're admitting now that Ryan absolutely blew that game. And he had a bad season.
And it's okay to admit that because it's true.
Yeah, well, you can't admit it, though, like if you're John Robinson.
No, not if you're John Robinson and not if you're Mike Vrabel, but I'm saying for Titans fans. You can say that your quarterback blew that game because that's the truth.
I can't believe they didn't go out. Like, I figured that they would fire Todd Downing, make Tim Kelly the offensive coordinator, because then you can say, hey. Like, you can internalize it as like, hey, it was his fault.
We're making a change at OC
But the
because that's
fact
what
that
we think the
Vrabel won't
issue
do that
was.
was very eye-opening to me. Luther is up next on Tannehill. Thank you for waiting. Go ahead, Luther.
Jared, I'm glad you're on this because when I saw that deal with Russell Wilson, that jumped Denver for me up from the bottom to fifth. Tennessee, where they're sitting right now, depending on what the Ravens get with Lamar Jackson, if they can get his contract set, I can see Tennessee being just ahead of Cleveland because of the quarterback. Sixth.
Why does it
in the
matter
AFC.
if Baltimore gets Lamar Jackson's contract figured out?
Well, here's the thing. What I'm saying is, if he gets his contract stuff together, if he decides to play,
I mean, he's definitely
I could
going
see
to play.
Baltimore being ahead of Tennessee. To be honest with you, I mean, I could see there could be a scenario where Tennessee could be sixth in the AFC, just the AFC, not the whole NFL.
I mean, there's
in your
a
own
scenario where the Titans are terrible this year. Thank you for your call, Luther.
I'm not saying terrible, but what I'm saying is like the other 5 quarterbacks that are in front of them.
Luther, I get you. I appreciate your call. My thing is that, like, I don't disagree with that, but I'm not saying that I'm banking on that. I feel like in the NFL, like, half the teams that made the playoffs this past year aren't going to make it next year, and you might be one of them. I mean, nobody thought that the Titans, who, like, I tried to discuss this with Chris maybe either last week or maybe it was the other day, which was, look at Chris Sanders' career. Chris Sanders was on the all-rookie team in Houston when Chris Chandler was the quarterback. Chris Chandler threw a freaking deep ball. It's kind of like Matt Ryan. Like, he really could throw the ball down the field, but he really wasn't that good of a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he did get Atlanta to the Super Bowl, or, better yet, Atlanta got him to the Super Bowl. And Chris Chandler just would throw the ball down the field. And so Chris was all rookie team on all these deep balls, which everybody's like, good. But then, after that, they move on to Steve McNair, who's not throwing it down the field like Chris Chandler is because he's a young quarterback and he's learning, and Chris ends up on the bench. And then they ask Chris to take a pay cut, and then all of a sudden, Dyson gets hurt, and Thigpen gets hurt, and Pickens is terrible, and he and D. Mace emerge as the team gets better, and he has, a great season, 6 catches over 35 yards, and the Titans are 13-3. They're the best team in the NFL. They have the number 1 defense in a year in which the Ravens had a legendary defense that won the Super Bowl, and the next year the Titans were 7-9. Chris got released. Like that, that's
things happen quickly.
That's how fast this. Like, there's no guarantees.
And players
on anything.
decline.
So you can sit there and say, like, hey, I've got Jacksonville ahead of the Titans next year because I think Trevor Lawrence is going to explode this next season, and you might be right. I mean, I don't think you're going to be right, but you might be right.
But that's not a crazy possibility. If not next year, then in the very near future, that under Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence could absolutely pop.
Oh, I mean, Trevor
and they're going to
Lawrence
have
could pop
solid
next year.
draft picks.
He could pop next year.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no. So this idea of like, oh, I got Lamar Jackson ahead of him. I'm not knocking you on that. I mean, it doesn't surprise me one way or another. What else we got?
Another texter texts in and says, Jared, you are so wrong about Tannehill. He got us to the number 1 seed in the AFC with 93 different players on the field. Cut the dude some slack. Okay.
No.
Tannehill did not get the Titans the number 1 seed in the AFC. I think you could argue a few people. Derrick Henry, and then a group of 4 of Danico Autry, Bud Dupree, Jeffrey Simmons, and Harold Landry.
Hold on, I want to pull this up. I think it was the 1920 presidential election.
What in the world?
So this was like the Great Depression, right? And no, I think it might have been the one before. Maybe it was the next one. Anywho, so I want to say this was when Warren Harding lost, but I could be wrong. But anywho, so the way it went down in that was basically like 3 states voted for the incumbent president and everybody else voted for the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
And like the entire country was one color, right?
Right.
Which like is impossible to think
It never
about
happens, yeah.
And like if you were to say like who thinks Ryan Tannehill can win the Super Bowl, and you were to have a map of the United States, and let's say everybody who thinks Ryan Tannehill can win the Super Bowl is in Titan blue, and everybody else who thinks Ryan Tannehill can't win the Super Bowl is in orange, like the most opposite color. The entire country would be orange. It would look like when UT football hosts Kentucky at home. And like the marching band has that Kentucky marching band has like that one section. But the whole rest of the stadium is orange. That's what the entire United States would look like. So either everybody in Tennessee is smart or everybody else around the country is just trying to tell you the truth, like Stephen A., Mad Dog, me, everybody, and people just don't want to listen. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Coming up next, I had a take today that I consider 2 people on the opposite ends of the spectrum completely disagreed with me, but agreed with each other on. But the truth is something that people just don't want to admit. That's next. Stillman and Company. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Allen's going to be taken down. It's Harold Landry, the sack master for the Titans.
Harold Landry is returning to the Titans.
You have to have a pass rush. Landry's a big part of that.
The linebacker has agreed to a multi-year extension.
He's tough. He's smart. He's been a productive player for us.
What's next for John Robinson and the Titans?
I think wide receiver, great opportunity for that.
Keep it locked all off season for your best Titans talk
On ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hal Gill here for my good friends at Dunkin'. You know I love Dunkin', and I'm wicked happy that Dunks is all over Nashville. A newly remodeled next-gen Dunkin' location is at 1645 West Main Street in Lebanon. Of course, Dunks has the best coffee, but they have new spring items available as well. Try the salted caramel cream cold brew, shamrock macchiato made with Irish cream swirl, and the roasted tomato toast with hummus or avocado. They also have amazing chocolate croissants. So go treat yourself, go get your Dunks.
The stage is set. The rumors are true. The wait is over. My Chemical Romance. Live. The 2022 tour. August 23rd, Bridgestone Arena. My Chemical Romance. With special guests, Turnstile and Dilly Dally. Tickets are on sale this Friday at noon. Buy tickets at livenation.com. My Chemical Romance. In concert.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe here to tell you about Dr. Kelly Rice Family Cosmetic and Dental Sleep Medicine. Dr. Rice, listen, we all have cavities, but what's the best way to try and keep them from happening?
Cavities are like any other health condition. You don't really know you have one until it gets bad. Recently, I saw a patient for treatment that they had been putting off. Something that could have been simple to fix 6 months ago turned out to need a root canal and a crown. Postponing treatment costs more and takes time away from work.
Nobody wants a root canal, so you're right. Regular checkups are very important.
Well, we do things differently. I want to let people know that if they're afraid of pain or worried about the cost, they are not alone. Don't be embarrassed. We understand. Give us a call at 615-373-4488. That's kellyerice.com.
Dr. Kelly Rice Family Cosmetic and Dental Sleep Medicine. If you don't have dental insurance, no problem. Be sure to join their membership club. Just visit kellyerice.com or call 615-373-4488 now to schedule your cleaning and checkup. You'll certainly be glad you did.
Golfers, tee it up this year at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the hottest new arrivals from Callaway. Featuring the new Rogue ST drivers, Callaway's most stable driver ever, with tungsten speed cartridge, jailbreak speed frame, and AI flash face. Engineered for max speed and forgiveness. 4 different models to fit every golfer's needs. Think speed? Go Rogue. Swing by Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get custom fit for the new Rogue ST drivers today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee, and shop us online at worldwidegolfshops.com.
312 Pizza Company is family owned and operated, bringing you a slice of Chicago to Nashville. 312 Pizza Company specializes in deep dish pizza, thin crust pizza, and all things Chicago style. Always made from scratch using secret family recipes passed down generation to generation. 312 Pizza is open every day except for Tuesdays and is located in Germantown with dine-in, takeout, and curbside available. Call 615-730-7888 to order 312 Pizza Company, Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria.
Friday night, the Big 12 tournament is underway. As we have you covered with semifinal action. We'll join in progress at 6
on ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is Pete Weber. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game.
So I do not feel the need to talk about myself on the radio because I feel like people want to hear sports. They don't want to hear about me. But I think I got a little bit of a problem right now I feel like I need to address. And
do tell.
It is that I feel like I have become like the police of what people care about.
Kind of a cranky old man.
But see, like cranky old men just don't like.
You don't like anything.
No, it's not that. I mean, I love a lot of things. But
it's true, yes, but.
I love quarterback T.
Well, we love quarterback T. Who doesn't?
But it feels like, I mean, let's use this as an example. Sunday's paper. Mm-hmm. So Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk on Saturday, puts out that the Titans are finalists for Aaron Rodgers. Now, is it true or not? I don't know. Looks like he was right, but who knows?
It was reported.
We're
not fact checkers.
Gentry Estes, a man I love. Gentry Estes writes a column in Sunday's Tennessean about the Twitter account of the Ravenwood High School hockey team blocking people. And I look at this and I'm like, nobody cares. And Joe was like, well, the audience for that column's a lot different than the audience for than a talk radio audience. And I was like, Joe, you think more people would have clicked on a column about Aaron Rodgers or a column about the Ravenwood High School hockey Twitter account?
And it's probably incredibly relevant to a very small group of people,
yes.
a.k.a. Ravenwood High School parents.
I'm like, who? Like, who cares? Anywho, I say this because, like, I'll listen to, like, what other people are talking about. Or, Ian, if you could, Ryan Spielborgs, a former MLB player, was on my show on Sirius last night. And this was before the lockout got solved, which, by the way, it's now official. It was ratified. 30 MLB clubs are saying yes to the new CBA, which means baseball's back in business. Shout out to baseball.
Thank you, baseball.
All right. But I say this because, like, he was trying, this is a guy who played in Major League Baseball and is on Sirius XM MLB radio. And he was trying to tell me about things that are important that fans should care about that I don't think anybody cares about.
The international draft is really a sticking point. It's a massive sticking point.
Can I just tell you that I don't care about that, and I think most fans don't either?
But let me explain one part to you. For 20 years, this has been a level where if you're going to do it, you have to do it right. And it just felt like for owners to do this thing without having like feasibility studies and all this stuff, and this could derail. It's not going to derail the negotiation, but it's a big deal. It's a big deal for a lot of the members of our baseball community because what's going on in Latin American baseball is there's such a seedy underbelly that it needs to be cleaned up, but not with one just, hey, we should do this. Like, tell me, have you liked what happened to minor league baseball system in the last couple of years? Did you think that was a good idea?
I did not care. I did not care.
So you didn't care that 42 teams were erased from minor league baseball?
Correct.
Okay. Well, it mattered to 42 communities. It mattered to a lot of minor leaguers.
So here I am telling this guy, nobody cares. But in all fairness, does anybody care about any of those things?
No.
Okay.
And T's and P's to those 42 communities.
T's and P's to Loughlensburg, Iowa. We are sorry. But I say this because I am convinced. All I do is I just want to do shows about things that you care about, you, the audience. Like, and I think you guys care. Like the Aaron Rodgers stuff, I think you guys could not get enough of. I don't think anybody in that, I shouldn't say anybody, because when you say that, then like the one person who cares says that they care about.
The majority.
I just don't think that college basketball matters in Nashville right now. It just doesn't freaking matter. And I got two people that comment, because I tweeted out earlier today that I think it's funny that, you know, that I find it amazing. It amazes me that nobody in that It's truly amazing to me how little college basketball matters in Nashville. Chad Withrow tweeted back and said, it matters to fans of teams that are relevant. As a Vandy/Louisville fan, you are projecting your indifference on everyone.
Which is a fair point.
But in Louisville, where Louisville's terrible, they care a lot about this.
Yep.
I don't. Like, I mean, do I seem like somebody who really cares about Louisville basketball, like on a daily basis?
No.
Okay.
But if you were doing radio in Louisville, you'd be talking about it.
Well, I've done radio in Louisville, and we would be definitely 100% talking about it.
Yeah.
So then Joe Rexroad chimes in, and you knew that this was going to be just, Joe says, 3 years ago, I watched a UT Kentucky college basketball game in Nashville that has as packed and raucous an atmosphere as you can find in sports. Okay, let's think about this.
In sports?
3 years ago. I didn't say that college basketball didn't matter at one point in Nashville. I'm just saying it doesn't matter now. He's saying 3 years ago there was a Saturday against Kentucky and Tennessee where, it was a raucous atmosphere, and it was. And let me ask this question. Whenever there's the SEC tournament here, which college basketball would probably matter a little bit more if the SEC tournament was being held here, which it's not. But when the SEC tournament is held here, and there's all these Kentucky fans walking around downtown, if we were to go on the air and do 4 hours of Kentucky basketball talk, we get fired.
Yeah, maybe so.
Like, I mean, I'm sorry. Nobody here cares about Kentucky basketball.
And there are people who live in Nashville that do care about Kentucky basketball. But the overwhelming majority, what do people want to talk about? Do you want to talk about the Titans or do you want to talk about Kentucky basketball? I would think that if we ran a poll, it'd be about 99-1.
Like, the number one topic about college basketball that we have had on the Stillman and Company show, in my opinion, is without a doubt when Juwan Howard smacked that guy.
Yeah, that was fun.
Like, that was by far the number one topic.
Well, that was a national story.
Right. And it was drama. But other than that, like, I'm sorry. I'm following Joe's Twitter, and it's like, South Carolina leads Mississippi State 26-22. And I'm like telling you, nobody cares.
Well, Joe has an audience for that, though. Joe has an audience of people who love college basketball. And he's catering to that audience.
But, like, I'm telling you
I don't think people come to our show to listen to college basketball
But I don't
talk.
think they come to his show to hear college basketball talk.
I don't know what people go to their show for.
I'm telling you, it's the same people that go to the shows. Like, I'm just saying.
People care about college basketball, but not as much as other things.
I do not think that it moves the needle in Nashville. And remember last time I said that the Vols did move the needle, and every Vol fan got all worked up and all bent out of shape. And, I felt almost validated because it was like, if the Vols moved the needle so much, and I said the Vols didn't move the needle, and I offended all these Vols fans that said that they would never listen again, then why is our show doing as well as it does? Because we talk about the things that people care about. College basketball is really falling, in my opinion, kind of into a similar route that baseball's following, which is the people who like it and have a team care about it. But the people outside of that, it's just like, do that on your own time. I mean, I'm sorry, but I flew across the country over the weekend, and it happened to be during the Duke-Carolina game. And I had to watch Coach K's final game. Like, I had to watch it. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, this is the end of an era. Not just the end of, like, Coach K's era, but this is the end of where college basketball really, truly had juice around the country. Like, there's never going to be another Dick Vitale. And I'm not saying, like, there will be another John Madden because John Madden was such a big figure. But, like, all these guys that call football games will all be big figures because football's so popular. But, I mean, could you imagine, like, 20 years ago, if you were to go up to somebody and say, yeah, the scouting combine is going to be more interesting than college basketball, and more people around the country are going to care about the scouting combine?
I think that's more relevant for you and for our audience. But there's a group of people who would rather watch the SEC tournament than the scouting combine.
I would love to see the ratings for the NFL Network for the scouting combine and the ratings for even, like, once the good teams start playing in the SEC tournament. I mean, this is Mississippi State, South Carolina. I mean, I think punters doing the 40 probably got better ratings.
This isn't a fun one.
But I'm talking
the
about
10 seed against the 7 seed doesn't really do it for me.
In Nashville, I would love to see in Nashville what the ratings for, and I don't know if NFL Network's rated, like, as far as, that's concerned.
Yeah.
But I would love to see what the ratings for the combine were.
Yeah,
and I bet they were better than regular season college basketball games. Like, it's just not, there's just no juice to it. And I think what I've realized, and the combine, the NFL does this, and I hope they never go away from it. SEC media days are ruined because nobody ever goes there and says anything interesting.
Well, it's the same press conference with every single coach.
The combine, these guys are getting up there being asked about players, and they're not telling you the truth, but they're giving you like some tea with some of this stuff.
I mean, John Robinson started crying.
I mean, like just
at the combine. I mean, there
interesting
is some tea.
stuff. Like and so I'm telling you, like, I just feel the pulse, and I do almost feel like I need to stop being this guy who's telling everybody, "What are you talking about over there? Oh, you're talking about the second round of the SEC. You're talking about Vanderbilt basketball? Nobody cares." Or what are you talking about? Nobody cares.
It's more of a niche audience
Nobody
than
cares.
the NFL.
But it's crazy to me how little I think people in this town care about things that people think that they care about. And SEC basketball is one of them. The Vols are one of them. I think everybody kind of knows Vanderbilt's kind of cratered to a spot where they just really don't matter that much.
Yeah,
but it's
that's
like,
they're in a league of their own there.
I am convinced. Like, I've never done radio in Atlanta. I don't think they're talking basketball in Atlanta right now.
Probably not. No.
Now, maybe they're talking. No, I think their NBA
Maybe
team's
Hawks?
terrible. But I still don't even think they're
Are
talking.
they terrible?
But as far as college, they were supposed to be
playoffs
good
last year.
Yeah, they were supposed to be good, but they're
Yeah.
bad. Like they're horrible. But like as far as like the idea of talking about college basketball, I just do not think that the people of this town care. Like, and again, we'll all watch the tournament. There's no doubt about. We'll all fill out brackets. You'll all bet on the games. But like earlier today, do you know what happened in Michigan, Indiana?
No.
So Indiana had to have this game, or they're out.
Yeah.
They were down a bunch. They came back. They won. T's and P's to Juwan Howard. He's
Sorry,
out.
Juwan.
But
it's probably for the best.
Everybody I follow in Louisville was tweeting about that game. Like, can you believe this comeback by Indiana? Nobody
it's a basketball town.
Joe's busy talking about some comeback by Florida that I don't even know about yet, and I'm not sure that I need to know about. Maybe I'm just poo-pooing everything. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. 615-737-1025.
Did Florida win?
Is our phone number. I have no idea.
They
I have
lost
no idea.
on a buzzer beater in
Ah.
overtime.
T's and P's.
T's and P's to the Gators. My Tigs ones, that's all I care about.
We'll get to some of your thoughts on this. 615-737-1025. TriStar and Preds game days coming up. TriStar Moving, my official movers. I've been telling you about TriStar for a while because they're the best. 100%. Hands down, the best moving company in Middle Tennessee. And it's okay if you don't believe me, because a lot of people don't with a lot of things, or trust me, which you should. But just go check out their hundreds of 5-star reviews on Google that back up that opinion. You know why they get so many 5-star reviews? It's because of the service that they provide throughout the entire process. Starting with the estimate, where their professionals come out and quote you to their administrative staff that works with you every step of the way, preparing for your move all the way to the day of your move. I've sent tons of people their way, and everyone calls me back, and they're like, you've got to use TriStar, and I'm telling you that is the truth. If you're considering moving, you need to call TriStar Moving. It's the only way to go. Trust me on this. It's not a hot take, so give my friends a call. 615-640-1219, or visit their website at nationalmoving.org/radio and get your personal discount on me. 5% off your entire move. That's TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, nationalmoving.org/radio. Tell them Jared Stillman sent you 5% off your entire move. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
This is Mikhail Kralland, and this is Smashville.
The rebound shoveled in by Mikhail Gronlund, and the Predators have tied it up on the power play.
This is the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 1025, The Game.
Hey, it's Chase McKay. Bet on more than the final score with One Game Parlay at BetMGM. It is my favorite thing to do on the app. One Game Parlay is an exciting feature designed to help you make selections within a single game from over 400 bet types, including team and player props. Just log into your BetMGM account and create your best parlay before the game starts. If you're new to BetMGM, sign up today and make your first bet risk-free up to $1,000 with the bonus code 1025GAME. Plus, you'll earn BetMGM rewards points that can be redeemed for online bonuses or converted into comps for rooms, restaurants, and more at over 20 MGM resorts nationwide. Try One Game Parlay today. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. For problem gambling support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789.
Hey Nashville, it's Jared, and there's a new go-to for home furnishing. Social Furniture on the West Side is independently home-owned furniture store in Nashville. Forget the big box stores. Shop local, shop social. They have all the best brand mattresses, sofas, recliners, love seats, sectionals, coffee tables, and more with no waiting. They will deliver it the same day. That's with everything at Social Furniture. Enjoy new furniture now with no waiting. Shop local, shop social. 5412 Charlotte Avenue near White Bridge Road, and tell them Jared Stillman sent you.
The Electronic Express tax refund sale is going on now. Get huge savings in every department, including 4K TVs, mattresses, computers and tablets, housewares, smart home, and more. We have all of your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, buy now, pay later with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online with free express delivery on most items. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Inside knowledge on the Titans.
Todd Downey's got his notepad out right now, just writing things down.
Inside knowledge on the Predators.
They can go right into the forecheck, and boom, you get a beautiful goal from Colton Sissons.
And then there's a team in Knoxville.
How excited should Tennessee fans be by what they've seen from Josh Heupel in year one?
Wake up and hang out with Robbie and Rex Road. Weekday mornings from 6 to 10. Brought to you by Little Guys Movers on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
This is Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving.
Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving. Let's get to some phones before Pred's Game Day phone line, driven by WillScottyHunter.com. And the question is, does college basketball matter in Nashville at all anymore? Caroline Fenton, take it away.
C from Franklin texts in and says, people in Wilco and Davidson County care more about local high school basketball than college, and that's a fact.
I mean, I can't judge that.
I don't know. I don't live in Williamson
County. And I got to tell you something. I give zero poops about college or high school basketball. You know, like I was talking to someone.
What about high school hockey, Ravenwood?
Zero poops about their Twitter account. I mean, I'm sorry. Like high school, I love high school football.
Love a Friday night light.
I love when you do high school football. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like when you enjoy your Friday night football, I enjoy it for the kids. I enjoy it for that. But I'm going to do something else on Friday night.
Okay.
You enjoy high school football. What's next?
Jacob from Murfreesboro checks in and says, Jared, people in Nashville are all in on UT basketball, and it's criminal that you undercover college hoops in March.
So I just don't think that's true. I mean, I think that, and you see all the digital numbers. Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody cares at all. Like, Robbie and Joe had Rick Barnes on the show the other day, and that's good for them.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm not interested in having Rick Barnes on, like, when we've got the possibility of talking about Aaron Rodgers and the fallout from that, and there's quarterback movement all around, and then there's the Tannehill, what are they going to do about that? And I just don't think that our audience would care enough to sit through 10 minutes of Rick Barnes being like, well, you know, I think we're very excited about the game, and we just need to get it rolling and just, you know, play good defense and offense and rebound. And, you know, I think we're just really excited about that.
Coach Talk Barnes.
No, you know, I just don't think anyone's I just don't think that's what the audience wants to hear. I'm serious.
I mean, but also if you
like
are
when you're doing this, it's like the idea of like getting like a coach on. It's like, oh, well, we can get that coach.
Yeah, it sounds pretty big.
But I just don't think people want to, you know.
But I think that people know that when they come to our show, they probably know what they're going to get. And it's not college basketball related all the time.
So I think that's like a I don't want to say like it's like loser talk, but I think it's kind of like a
how is that loser talk?
Well, it's like, our show, we talk about other things because we think that, other people, we want to be a show that caters to the Tennessee Tech audience, so maybe that, your audience doesn't care about Tennessee Tech, but our audience does care about Tennessee Tech. And it's like, do they?
Fair point.
Like, aren't we all really trying to win the same race?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I just think that people take you saying nobody cares the wrong way.
Well, that's why I stopped myself short of saying nobody cares, and I kept saying move the needle, or does it matter in
the overwhelming majority probably would rather talk about the quarterback carousel rather than Tennessee basketball. That does not mean that Tennessee basketball does not matter. That does not mean that there are no Tennessee basketball fans in Nashville, because I know for certain that is not true. But if you would poll,
it just doesn't matter enough to talk about in Nashville, which is pretty damning. Let's get one more in there.
Rob from Clarksville texts in and says, I loved college basketball until Florida hired mid-major Mike. I don't think anyone really cares about Florida basketball.
Oh my God, I could.
If
I'll
nobody
say this,
cares
when I was a
about
kid,
Vanderbilt
when I was
basketball.
a kid, I'm telling you this right now. I watched like Tuesday nights, SEC, Wednesday nights. I watched that. Bruce Pearl at Tennessee, Billy Donovan at Florida. They had Joakim Noah and Al Horford and all those great players. Tennessee had Chris Lofton. Kentucky was still pretty decent under Tubby. Vandy with Kevin Stallings had Derek Byers and Shane Foster. I mean, like the SEC was freaking rolling. And like now it's just like snooze fest. It's just a snooze fest. And I don't think.
Why is that? What changed? Other than the suits.
I don't. Oh, man, I miss the suits. But Jerry Stackhouse, I give him credit.
I do feel like COVID had a good hit on college
You know
basketball.
what? I think the canceling of the tournament.
Not having fans
a lot
in the
of people,
stands.
I think, well, even now they got fans, and I don't think it really matters
But
that
it's
much.
it just almost
Let
like.
me ask you a question. They're going to have a packed house in Tampa for the SEC tournament, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when Kentucky plays and everything?
Yeah.
You think on Tampa radio they're talking about SEC basketball?
Probably. Well, there's no SEC presence in Tampa, really, other than the SEC
Florida?
tournament being there. Yeah, but how much does
Gators?
Tampa talk about Gainesville?
I mean, I would assume like that Florida matters as much in Tampa as, the Vols matter here.
And we don't really talk about the Vols very
That's
much.
because they don't move the needle much, and that's because Florida probably doesn't move the needle much in Tampa.
Maybe
and that's
not.
because in Tampa, nobody cares.
Maybe
probably,
not.
although I'm making an assumption about something that
But
I
I
don't
think
know.
not having the tournament in March of 2020 just kind of showed people like, oh, okay, like what else are we going to do? And I think that really stained college basketball.
I think it did. I didn't miss it. Like I wasn't sitting there.
I missed it.
I didn't miss it.
I feel like there were bigger things going on.
I maybe should have missed it, but I didn't miss it.
It was also the Brady sweepstakes around that same time. It's like, that's bigger news.
Yeah, but like we didn't even get to March Madness. Like it was canceled like right at the very, very, very beginning. But people definitely cared about it more then than they do now. Time now for Predators Game Day.
It's Hockey Night in Smashville.
Deflects back for Duchesne. His shot stopped, and the score!
What are the keys to victory tonight? What's being said in the locker room? Where do the Preds reside in the Central Division standings? Jared Stillman has the latest now. With Preds Game Day on Stillman and Company. Brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. This is Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Predators Game Day presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. The Anaheim Ducks 27, 23, and 9. Good for 63 points. The Predators 32, 20, and 4. Ian, are we going to hear from John Hines or no? Okay, this is John Hines on tonight's game.
I mean, we've talked with our group about this time of year. We know what our identity is. We know how we want to play, but we've used the phrase quite a bit. Is we want to ice a game that'll gives us the best chance to win, regardless of what opponent we play. And that's something that we feel like we put two back-to-back games together with San Jose and Dallas, where we ice the game regardless of who we play. It would give ourselves a good chance to win. Now we have to be consistent and reliable in that game coming into tonight and moving forward.
There you go, taking a look at the standings. And there are some big games that are coming up. St. Louis, Minnesota as well inside the division. But the Predators are in fourth place. What do we think about fourth place?
We like fourth place.
Good, yes. Fourth place is where you want to be. Not third, not second. You want to be fourth. And the Predators, 68 points, one ahead of Dallas, one behind Minnesota. Game in hand Minnesota's got. St. Louis 71, 3 points ahead of the Predators, and Colorado is just absolutely running away with it with 87 points, though the Predators do shockingly have 2 games in hand on the Avalanche. But again, tonight against a Ducks team that is not very good. I actually thought the Ducks were good at one point this year. I guess they're not good anymore. And again, the big key here is for the Predators to get into the Pacific Division because Calgary and Los Angeles and Vegas are not as good as Colorado. And that's my whole plan the entire year. So they're going to need to win tonight because then they can split over the weekend and then everything will be fine. And that's the goal. That's it for us. We're out of here. We're back tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Predators pregame is coming up next. Chase McCabe is in for Darren. Puck drop in less than an hour and a half. We will see you tomorrow.